And this is your election headquarters. Now, the 2020 elections has experienced impressive average voter turnout of 78% compared to the 2016 turnout of 69%, with 270 constituency provisional results already published by the multimedia group, with just 5 constituencies left. Over 98% of the constituencies have come in. Out of the 270 published, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is leading John Dramani Mahama by 518,000 votes. Here is the breakdown. Nana Addo has 6,640,809 votes, representing 51.30%. John Mahama has 6,121,817 votes, representing 47.29%. Now, others, including rejected votes, comes to 181,576 votes, representing 1.40%. Now, the 5 remaining constituencies to be published by your election headquarters have about 184,000 valid voters. With an average of 78% voter turnout, this could translate into 145,000 votes. Now, if all 145,000 votes are given to John Dramani Mahama, it is statistically impossible for the NDC candidate to achieve 50% plus 1 or more votes. Now, based on the above, your election headquarters projects Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to win the 2020 presidential elections.
Thank you for staying here on Joy 99.7 and Joy News on TV. This is your election headquarters, and Joy News is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I've still got head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, and if you were with us just about 5 to 10 minutes ago, you would have heard our projection of who would win the 2020 presidential elections. Evans, we have the statistics. Just run us through again.
So, of course, what we've done is to make a projection. The Electoral Commission has the constitutional mandate to declare who wins it. But based on the numbers that we have, we are in a position to project who the next president could be. And we are projecting for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And we are projecting as of now that if you, in essence, give all the votes that are left to John Dramani Mahama, it will still be statistically impossible for him to cross the 50% plus 1 mark to win the presidential race. And we did this analysis yesterday overnight into this morning. But of course, here in your election headquarters, we will prioritize accuracy over speed. And so overnight, we had to input a bit more and do a bit of the permutations to arrive at this very firm conclusion. What we're saying currently is that we have managed JoyNews, and the Joy brands have worked and put in the numbers. We're saying that the turnout currently is 78%. That is what we are projecting currently. This is very impressive average voter turnout of 78%. And this is, if you compare this to the 2016 turnout, we were at 69%, right? Now, this has implications for the outcome that we've projected today. What are the implications? With 270 constituency provisional results that we've already published by the Joy brands, this is Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, that we projected so far. We have just 7 constituencies left. 5 constituencies left. Over 98% of the constituencies have come in so far. That is, we're putting it in percentage terms. Out of that 270 published by us, by the Joy brands so far, and your favorites, Joy, Joy FM, Joy News, which you're on, and obviously live on Joy FM as well, those who are listening to us. We say that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is leading John Dramani Mahama by as much as 518,000 votes. That's a lot in the scheme of things. And so What does this mean if you are doing the projections and the breakdown? We say that at this, with the current calculations, Nana Addo has 6,640,809 votes, representing some 51.30%. Now, John Mahama has 6,121,817 votes. That represents 47.29%. There are others that we had to factor in also, because sometimes they also play an important role in the eventual outcome. The others, including rejected ballots altogether, comes to 1.40%. In actual numbers, you're talking about 181,576 votes, okay? Now, so that, having considered all the individuals running, that is the two main candidates and then the others, we come back to the 5 remaining constituencies that are yet to be published by, the Joy branch, your election headquarters. We have about 184,000 valid voters. Of course, that you can calculate that for of course our audiences. Now, but if you have that, then you come to what does your average turnout tell you with 184,000 voters left to go? We say with an average of 78% voter turnout, this will translate into 145,000 votes for our audiences. Now, it is from there then that you have to ask yourself, with this 145,000 votes that is left, and where John Mahama is as against where Nana Addo Dankwa is, and the person in the lead, can you give all of the remainder based on the turnout to the trailing candidate? If you do that, what happens to him? Can he catch up? Can he still get to 50% plus one? Or does he shrink the leading candidate's lead back into the 40s
zones?
Okay, which means that you're going to move this into a runoff. So that's what we did. We say if you give all the 145,000 votes, okay, left based on the turnout to John Dramani Mahama, it remains statistically impossible for the NDC candidate to cross the magical 50 plus 1 that he requires to win it. And that is why, based on that, Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, and all our Joy brands project this morning that this year, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will retain the presidency, and we expect that the EC definitely will declare in a few hours, and I'm sure the chips will be down very shortly.
Evans, I think it's important for us to state that we are working with certified results from the constituencies, and so these are not just figures we are putting together from anywhere. But talking about the voter turnout reminds me of the analysis you and Winston did on the eve of election, where you spoke about the trends in terms of the voter turnout and how they affect the incumbent's potential to retain or lose the election.
You're right, Bernice. And we had said, looking at the trend in terms of voter turnout and in terms of the outcome of the elections, there is a strong correlation. So we are at almost 80% voter turnout. I mean, the EC should give us the exact numbers. We've talked about 78 there. From 2000, if you look at the 2000 elections, the voter turnout in that particular elections was 61%. When that happened, very low. So let's take the broad conclusions here. The broad conclusion is that from the analysis, anytime voter turnout is 70% below, you tend to have a change in government. Anytime it is 80 or closer to 80 and above, way above 70 in the 80s and above, you have a retention of the incumbent. Okay, so a higher voter turnout relates to a retention of the government. A lower voter turnout relates to a change in government. And we're seeing high voter turnout today. And that, again, has panned out into our projection that shows that we're projecting for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to win this year's elections. And it definitely explains a lot. And again, it has to be said, this high voter turnout is happening at the time when there's COVID, and there's a lot of people who thought, including myself, that somehow it will affect turnout. And again, all the polls prior to now that we've projected had said expect high voter turnout. In fact, many of them were projecting higher voter turnouts way sometime in the 90s, in the 80s. I mean, just around that same. So we're waiting for 5 for Joy News, Joy FM, waiting for 5 more constituencies to come. That may change the dynamics a bit. So definitely higher voter turnout links, and the trend has continued. It hasn't been broken this year.
It's interesting you talk about the trends, and we'll be doing more analysis here on your election headquarters. And I just want to inform you that we've got our men still on the ground. We're still working to get the figures from those 5 constituencies. But as you heard from head of our political desk, when we do all the calculations and permutations, it is statistically impossible for John Dramani Mahama to make that 50+1 that's required to win presidential elections here in Ghana. So our projection is that the NPP's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win this year's election, and we'll wait for the EC to make the official declaration. We've got our men there, Israel Laye and Kwesi Parker-Wilson are at the EC's headquarters. We've got Elton Brobe at the residence of President Akufo-Addo. We've got Maxwell Agbagba, who is embedded in the team of John Dramani Mahama, and we'll definitely be picking reactions once the Electoral Commission makes that declaration, Evans. But another bit of controversial point in this election, which I've not seen in past elections, is the parliamentary seats and who really is winning the majority. And I know that we are working to get all those figures because both parties are claiming to have majority in Parliament.
Yes, the Electoral Commission themselves overnight. Myself and Winston were on set when that very abruptly organized press was called and addressed for the first time by the chairperson. And she admits that they're still putting that together. But the reason why a bit of that it's not clear yet is because some of the elections in the constituencies are still subject of contest. And before that is done, and she mentioned it, there's a few places where it could be a case of one polling station result that a political party is contesting. You cannot certify it, and so you can call it. The thing about why the political parties can go ahead and say that is, I mean, they have the interest in this particular matter, and they also have deployed polling station agents, I believe, in all the polling stations, almost 40,000 of them across the country. And so they know what the outcome is already. But of course, when there's a contest and you are disputing the figures, although you would have a certain global figure for a constituency from polling stations, in the final analysis, the heat will mean you say I have won, I will say I have won. Mm-hmm. That is why the EC can't tell you, because the EC then have to sort it out, go to the legal processes before they can say who had won. And that's why we're seeing the two parties. Now, it is dangerous for a mini organization to go out and say, well, although they are fighting, this is an election, we can fact check and say who's won. I mean, you can do that, but to what end? In terms of the parliamentary seats, eventually we'll definitely get the clarity on this. And that's why, for us, we're waiting for some of these disputes in the constituencies that have become issues to be resolved. Once that is resolved, we can get clarity. I mean, this shouldn't take long for all these to be clarified. The presidential race was a key thing for people to watch, right? I think now people should have clarity with what, of course, Joy News and Joy FM and all our partners, of course, the multimedia group had just done. It offers some clarity as to what has happened at the presidential level. We will definitely bring the clarity at the parliamentary level as well very soon as our map and software begins to sort of populate a bit more. So we fill in for you and tell you who has won in Parliament and who hasn't.
Evans, allow you to breathe a bit. We'll cross over now to the NPP's headquarters. Nanayao is with sister station Adum TV, and we are picking some reactions from there. But if you just joined us on Joy 99.7 and Joy News, our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win this year's election. Let's take you to the NPP's headquarters now.
Is the next president-elect. There have been jubilation at the headquarters, and we're here to interact with some of the supporters to know why they are jubilating. After you watching the projection from Joy News, how do you feel?
Feel okay, feel all right.
And do you think your party has won?
Yeah, my party has won. And I will tell you something small. I will tell you something small.
Okay. But let me try speaking with the chairperson for Greater Accra. Let me just try speaking to him in a jiffy to get something from and a reaction from you. Joy News and Adum TV has projected Nana Addo Dankwa as the president-elect. Do you accept that projection?
Yes, we've already done our collation, but of course, as you know, constitutionally, it's the Electoral Commission that's mandated legally to do this, and so we are waiting for them to do the, how do you call it, the declaration. Otherwise, we have done our collation already, and we know that we have won. Nana Addo, His Excellency, has won the presidency already. So that one is okay. What Joy News? And of course, take it or leave it. Over the years, we've all known Joy News for this. And so I know those who've been following them will know that what they are telling us is the truth. We've heard NDC, making noise, but they know. They know. John Mahama himself knows that, he's lost the election. So that's it.
You are the chairman in Greater Accra. Most of the seats in Greater Accra have been won by the NDC. Is it to say that you never did a good work?
Well, we did our best. The days leading to the election, somehow a lot of, fake news in the system and all seeking to run down, the enviable reputation of His Excellency, the President. This is Greater Accra. These things don't sell that well in the rural areas. But in the city centers like Greater Accra, Accra here, Kumasi, and those areas. So you can see that we did very well in the rural areas. But here in Accra, hard as we push, we rather came down. We were targeting 24 seats. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, and we rather lost 6 of our seats to the NDC. So, well, we're going back to the drawing board to look at what happened and then re-strategize, work towards 2024.
Have you seen your flag bearer?
So there was a live from the NPP's headquarters, Nanaya, with Adum TV sister station, picking reactions there from the Greater Accra regional chairman of the party and some supporters, even as we've projected Nana Akufo-Addo to win the 2020 presidential election. Head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, is still here with me. Evans,
isn't it something to expect when it's become clear now with this projection for party executives like the Greater Accra regional chairman, obviously to be excited about this, but they would have known this for a long time because of the ability to collate. Both parties have that ability to collate at the polling stations. But I guess it's key now to say what happens now, right? I mean,
what happens next?
Next, we expect an electoral commission definitely to they've said, last night into this morning, they've said today.
By close of day.
By close of day today, they should be in a position to give us the declaration, official declaration. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be crossing over there shortly to get Parker Wilson and Israel, who have been on the beat for us all day, to give us clarity about when exactly that might be. The thing about when you get to this time is, although you know your favorite candidate possibly has won or lost, depending on where you stand, you're either struggling with accepting what it is, especially if it's a defeat, it's difficult. But I mean, you have to commend Ghanaians. I mean, in spite of the tension, largely, we've seen people overnight. I saw Maxwell Abagba was in the heat of people jubilating, right? They'll probably wake up this morning and listen to Joy 99.7 FM or listen to and watch us or Adum or on Joy News, etc., and realize what the actual numbers say. It's okay. Politics is like that. Politics is you win some, you lose some. I mean, and the politicians who have been in this game today know that's what it is. I just heard an incumbent member of parliament who lost. You spoke to her just
no, she's actually Upper East Regional Minister who defeated the incumbent Akufo-Addo, yes, and she was hoping to win. Yes.
And she lost, right?
Yeah.
And she was magnanimous enough in reaching out and saying she's lost. And you actually asked the question, they said, when in the primaries, right? Yeah. She even went a step further, right? That is what the politics should be. I believe you lose, you win some, you congratulate, you're magnanimous. I mean, and I think people appreciate that. I mean, we're in a country where time was We have a presidential candidate whose biggest unique selling proposition was he was Asumdwehene, right? I mean, man of peace. I mean, you know who that is.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that puts him in a certain light. We have John Kufuor, who also assumed the nickname the Gentle Giant. I mean, Ghanaians value that quality in our leaders, the ability to, and John Dramani Mahama. In 2016, he was incumbent. I remember that press conference he called outside of his, with his children around him, conceding defeat to then opposition leader Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I mean, we've shown over the years that our leaders definitely appreciate the need to keep this peace, and that when all this is, the race is run, I am confident that they will come back to doing what we expect, which is accepting, conceding, congratulating, being even when. And the point is, those who have won, bear in mind that the other side, some may be grieving, and so don't rub it in. I mean, that for me is very important to keep the peace.
All right, let's head down to the president's residence. Elton Broby is still there for us. Hello, Elton. Any reactions for us?
Yes, Bernice. All right, so we had minimal celebration when JoyNews projected that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2020 presidential elections. Indeed, here at the residence, I mean, the whole residents went into a frenzy after Evans came on air and projected, by per our calculation, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo most likely to win the 2020 presidential elections. So they jubilated, they started playing music, but as I speak, they are back in their chairs. My information is that they want to give the Electoral Commission and the people of this country the respect that they deserve. So they will wait for the Electoral Commission to come formally and announce the outcome of the presidential and parliamentary elections. But the projection that we had some few minutes ago quite clearly is in line with what they had projected even before we came on air, per their own calculations from their own collation center. So in the background is the residents, and there is actually a podium that is being here since morning, awaiting the official announcement by the Electoral Commission, and President Akufo-Addo will mount the stage and then speak to the nation. And from the way things are going, it appears that as far as the presidential election is concerned, Nana Akufo-Addo is most likely to form the next government and then govern for the next 4 years. What people are asking for in this residence is what is the state of the parliamentary seats, 275 of them. Is the MPP in the lead? Are they trailing behind the NDC? Would there be a hung parliament, or would they go into parliament with a slim majority, which is appearing to be the picture as of now? But what is what are the figures? Is it 137, 140? This is the question that a lot of people are asking here. Like I said early on, the jubilation was short-lived because my information is that they want the Electoral Commission to come formally and announce the outcome of the election. And then I can tell you for a fact that the celebration will start. Even outside the walls of President Akufo-Addo's party supporters are here in their numbers, going up and down, singing, jubilating, dancing here and there. But the information is that they want to wait patiently for the Electoral Commission to come forth and declare the outcome of the election. But going by their own calculation and collation, that is in sync with what we just projected. They think that barring any hitches, Nana Akufo-Addo is the president-elect, and that formal announcement is what they are waiting the Electoral Commission to declare. And President Akufo-Addo will come out here, speak to the media, speak to Ghanaians through the media, and then I'm sure that the celebration will start.
All right, Elton. Yes, we all are awaiting that declaration by the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission says by close of day, but have you picked any information from the President's team on when exactly this is likely to happen?
So people I've spoken to, they tell me that the Electoral Commission is left with only two regions, results from two regions, and they are very sure that in the hours to follow, hopefully in the next 2 hours, that formal announcement will come. In the House right now, President Akufo-Addo is here, his vice, Dr. Baumia, is here. Leading members of the party, they are all here. they appears to be in readiness, waiting for Electoral Commission to come through and announce to the whole country the outcome of the elections. They are saying that they are from the information they've picked from the corridors of the Electoral Commission, the EC is going through validating results from 2 regions, and then the formal announcement will follow at the Accra International Conference Center. Then after that, looking at the way things have turned out to be per our projection, and from what we are hearing, it has appeared President Akufo-Addo rather been making an acceptance speech rather than a concession.
All right, Elton, is the president himself at his residence?
Of course, Benis, and together with the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and some leading members of the party.
We'll leave it here for now, Elton, and we'll head to the Ashanti region. Ohiming-Teria is standing by, and I understand with the regional organizer of the NPP, will first give us a reaction to our projection, which is that Nana Akufo-Addo will win this year's election. Ohiming-Teria.
Hello, Benis.
I understand you have the NPP's Ashanti region organizer with you, Francis Adomako.
Yes, Benis, I do have Mr. Francis Adomako with me. Over the period, he has been very vocal and also all over the place campaigning for the new patriotic party in the Ashanti region, considered one of the strongholds of the new patriotic party. Indeed, the MPP was targeting all the 47 constituencies in the Ashanti region as far as the parliamentary elections were concerned. So let me find out from Mr. Adomako. Multimedia group JoyNews TV has projected Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo as being the winner or the president-elect for the 2020 elections. What is your reaction to this?
All right, thank you very much. First of all, let me say good morning to all those, my listeners and those watching me. Let me congratulate the president in advance based on the projected victory from JoyNews and multimedia. The party knew, definitely based on our collated results, that definitely will win. Again, let me use this opportunity also to congratulate all the MPs elect belonging to MPP nationwide and from Ashanti region. A lot have been done. And this is what the Ghanaians have given us. Let me take this opportunity also to thank all our various stakeholders, all the parliamentary candidates, all the ministers, all the CEOs, the regional executives, the constituency executives, the various identifiable groups, the MMDCs, the polling station executives, the electoral area coordinators, and now all our teaming supporters.
So it means that the list is endless. Yes. Let's talk about the MPP's Agenda 4747. You projected to win all the 47 parliamentary seats in the Ashanti region. How did it go so far?
All right, thank you very much. First of all, let me thank all those who voted for us. We did a yeoman's job. Earlier on, we were having 44 constituencies. We are targeted as Swansea, which is close nearby, Edra, Setra, Dumasi, and Setra Famplins. Unfortunately, these 3 that we were targeting to add to our food, to make it 47, did not happen. As a party, it's early days yet. We have not sat down to look at, to digest, and to do a postmortem with regards to what really happened, that we couldn't get the 3 constituencies we were targeting.
But you even went ahead to lose a seat that was, you had a member of parliament in New Edibiase.
New Edibiase, previously, 2012 was not our seat. It was belonging to NDC. Fortunately for us, we were able to snatch it from NDC in 2016. This time around, it has gone back to NDC. Like I said earlier on, as a party, after this, I believe that the Electoral Commission will come out to give the final verdict. After the final verdict, the party in the region will sit down and look at one constituency after the other. Even all the constituencies that we won, we'll look at the SWOT analysis. We'll consider what really happened in each of the constituencies and what we need to do moving forward.
Looking at the 2016 elections, the votes garnered by then President Akufo-Addo compared to the 2020 elections, you could see there's a vast difference, a drop in the percentage of votes. In 2016, the votes that the president had was about 76%. In 2020, it's about 71%. What happened to you as a party?
Okay, like I said, it's early days here. We've not sat down as a party to do the proper analysis of what really happened. But one thing I could see, the very day that we were doing the election was going on, some of our people, market women still wanted to go to the market. I remember I had a call from somewhere where people were complaining that the market had been closed and they wanted to go to the market. It's an election day. The president has given us holiday, thinking that all of us will sacrifice and go to the poll to go and vote. On that very day, you saw people, I don't know whether it was complacency, that, oh, even if I don't vote, MPP will still win. So I believe that the voters in the region, in one way or the other, even though majority of them voted, some, I believe, still didn't go and vote. I, for one, was moving from one place to another, picking people into my car, trying to see how best I can go and vote. I was moving from one polling station to another, finding out those who have not voted, drive to their houses, find out wherever they are, put them in my car. So you could tell people were relaxed, and I don't know as to whether they felt that, oh, even if they don't go, others will go, and definitely MPP will win. I believe that we would surely sit down and look at it holistically. So
in short, Volta party contributed to about 500,000 votes that your presidential candidate lost in the Ashanti region.
I believe there are a lot of factors, and as you really rightly said, Volta party will not be left out.
So going forward, what will happen, for instance, to the number of parliamentary seats that you lost? Would you want to say that probably the party didn't do well in annexing the 3 more seats to the extent that you lost one in your bid to get 3 more?
I wouldn't say the party did not do well. Like I said, the party will sit down. We have a regional campaign team, so all of us will sit down and discuss thoroughly and look at what did we do right and what we didn't do well and correct our mistakes.
Okay, so Benis, this is Mr. Francis Adomako taking us through what happened led to the party not winning the 47 seats in Ashanti region. As the party had projected earlier, they had targeted 47 seats in Ashanti region, but in all, the party lost 1 seat and conceded 3 more seats to the NDC. So this is Mr. Adomako's position as far as this matter is concerned. He also touched on the fact that many voters in the region were complacent, and that probably led to the presidential candidate Akufo-Addo losing about 500,000 votes in the Ashanti region if you compare what he garnered in 2016 to the votes that he had in 2020, Benis.
Thank you very much, Ohiming Teria, there coming to us live from Kumasi. First, picking a reaction from the MPP's Ashanti region organizer, Francis Adomako, to our projection that Akufo-Addo will win the 2020 presidential race. If you just joined us, this is your election headquarters live on Joy 99.7 and Joy News on TV. A while ago, head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, explained why we are making this projection. And if you can see, for those of you on radio, you can't see, but on television, we've put our figures that as we've received them, 270 out of 275 constituencies, and the MPP's Akufo-Addo has 6,640,809 votes, and the NDC's John Dramani Mahama has 6,121,817. And what we are saying is, based on the number of votes left in that region, it is statistically impossible, even if the NDC's John Mahama picks up all those votes, for him to make up the 50+1 or reduce the margin of President Akufo-Addo beyond the 50+1 vote, which will obviously send the elections into a runoff. I've still got Evan Spencer here with me, and what we are going to do now is to pick the confirmed parliamentary results from our regional correspondents. Let's start from the central region, where Richard Kojo-Nyako is there for us. So what will happen is that, Richard, you tell us the number of constituencies, the number of seats the NDC has won, the number of seats the NPP has won, and if there are any other constituencies that are being contested, you let us know.
And this is important, Ben, is for us to do this, because now we've projected Nana Addo to be the winner, but the great controversy revolves around the parliament, and this is a parliamentary map. You go into central region. All right. And so this is a central regional map in terms of parliamentary, right? And it looks very blue and greeny. And so that's why this has become very contested, because who is winning here is key. And so I'm curious to see what Kojo has for us in terms of the actual picture of who has won what and what is still in contest. Kojo?
Well, Evans, let's start from the commended Negua for Brim constituency. The projection is that these are confirmed results. The NDC candidate won, and so Samuel Atamos retained his seat in the Commander Edna Egua for Ebrim constituency. If you come to the Cape Coast North constituency, Barbara Ashaisi of the MPP was unseated by Dr. Kwame Namintanyako, and so the NDC again has a seat in the Cape Coast North constituency. In the Cape Coast South constituency, Kweku Rickett Hagan retained his seat. And so the NDC has a third seat in the Cape Coast South. So we have KEA, Cape Coast South, Cape Coast North. Then we go to the Chifu Etimukwa constituency. The MPP lost that seat to the NDC. And so there the NDC has that seat, and it is confirmed. If you go to the Gomua West constituency, the NPP candidate, the deputy minister, lost, lawyer Aban, lost to the NDC, and so that seat had also been won by the NDC. If you go to the Aguna East, Queensta Pokia Sawyer managed to retain her seat, and so that seat has been retained. If you go to the Ewutu Senya West constituency, George Anda lost that seat to Gisela Tete. If you go to the Jumaku Enyan Esiam constituency, confirmed KCL Atoforsen retained his seat. The Kumfi Kingsley Atukujo of the NPP lost that seat to Abeku Krentel of the NDC. So again, this seat has also gone to the NDC. If you go to the Gomua East constituency, the NPP lost this very seat, and so that seat has also gone to the NDC. If you go to the Asin North, Abna Druwa Mensa lost that seat to the NDC. And so these are the confirmed seats that are with the NDC currently.
Do this. Tell us the total number of seats in the central region. How many of them went to the NDC and how many went to the NPP?
So we have a total number of 23 constituencies. And before this election, the NPP had 19 and the NDC had 4. Now, let me run you through the constituencies that the NPP has. The Infantiman constituency has been retained by the NPP. Gomua Central, Naneya retained her seat. Aguna West, Cynthia Morrison retained a seat. Ewutu Senya East, the MPP retained that seat. Efutu Afenyomakin retained that seat. If you go to the Himalawa Denchura, Bright Rekubrobe, the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, retained the seat. If you go to the Abra Sebu Kwamankase, the NP there, the incumbent, also retained the seat by beating Felix Kwachiofosu to some 176 votes. If you go to the Asin South, the NPP MP there also retained the seat. Asin Central, Kennedy Japan also retained the seat. Now, there is only one seat in the Central region that is in contention now. That is the Upper Dentra West constituency, and currently the leaders of the various political parties with the Electoral Commission, they are locked up in a meeting at a regional headquarters here. So we wait for the outcome of that constituency.
All right, Richard, we'll leave it here for now. But Evans, you've got our map. Like you just mentioned, there's a bit of dispute over the results in Upper Dentra West. But we've got our map here just so that you can have a pictorial sense of what Richard Kotinyako has just been telling us. Yes, so Evans, just run us through it.
So if you see the blue, a simple case of doing mathematics to just look at how many blues are there as against what you have for the greens. And so your mathematics is better than my, Bennett. So you have a blue of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in there, in the region. I want to quickly put it up, so I'll write it on the screen for you. So that is the MPP. MPP there is 10, right? We counted 10 for the MPP. Okay. Now, if you do that for the NDC, you get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There's Cape Coast
There's
South.
11.
Yes.
We're waiting for this to come in. Also, and there's also Wutu Senior West, where they flipped from George Anders' constituency there, which is also here. If you add that today, you're talking about 12, right?
Yeah.
So that is for the NDC. So I want to pull this back down here. I prefer my finger to this. Let's use that. The NDC. Yeah, the NDC. We have the NDC doing that in 12 here.
All right, okay.
So this is important. I'll do this so that you follow us as we begin to break this down for you.
So this is 22, and we just mentioned that we're left with the Upper Dentra West, and that will make up the sum total of 23 constituencies. Yeah. And so there's just one more in contention. The NDC has 12, the NPP has 10. We're waiting for that, and so we're just trying to do this to try and settle the contention over who's won what when it comes to parliamentary seats. Let's head to the Upper East now. Albert, sorry, tell us how many constituencies in all, how many of the seats have been picked up by the NPP, the NDC, or the other parties?
Yes, Benny. So in the Upper East region, we have 15 constituencies, 15. The NPP has won only one. Now, what happened is that the NPP won Binduri. Before this election, the NPP had 3 seats in the Upper East region. One was Timpani, the other one was Boku West, popularly known as Zebila, and then the other one was Navrongo Central, which was held by Akufo-Addo. Now they've lost all these 3 seats, but they managed to snatch the Binduri seat previously held by Robert Babakuga Nablem of the NDC. So the NPP has Binduri now, which is the only seat they have won, and the remaining 14 are for the NDC. If we start from the Bulsa area, Bulsa South, Clement Apak won there. He has maintained his seat. Bulsa North is where we have James Agalga. He has also retained his seat. We come to Chana Paga. Chana Paga has been won by the NDC as well. Thomas Dalu won that seat. We come to Navrongo Central. The regional minister, Tangoba Abayage, who you spoke to earlier, was contesting there after she won the primaries against Akufo-Addo. She has lost Navrongo Central, so the seat is now for the NDC, and Samson Tangombo Chiragia has Navrongo Central.
All right, so Albert, and these are certified results. So for the Upper East region, it's done and dusted. We don't have any constituency where there are disputes over the figures, right?
No, there are no disputes. The only issue we had was in Talensi, where after the results were collated, there was some sort of discrepancy in terms of what the political party agents had and what was recorded. They brought that to the regional level in Bolga, and by evening, late last night, that issue was resolved and the results were officially released. So there are no disputes or challenges anywhere in the Upper East region.
Dealing with figures, I just want to be dead sure we heard you right. 15 constituencies. The NPP has 1. The NDC has 14. Correct? All right. So, Albert, did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you, Benny. So, yes, you are correct. We have 15 constituencies. NDC has 14. The NPP has only 1 seat in the Upper East region.
All right, thank you very much. That's Albert Sorry coming to us from the Upper East region. So here again, Evans, we have the figures released. 14 for the NDC, 1 for the NPP.
Yes, and important to note that this is an NPP loss, that loss from 2016. You did the interview with the Tango Abaye, who was contesting this year for the and that seat has gone now. They used to have 3, as our correspondent told us there. So NPP has lost 2 seats, has kept 1. NDC has gained from what it used to be, 11? And they've added, sorry, they used to be 12. They've added 2 more. They've taken 2 more from the NPP there. And so that is a story emerging, an NDC gain where an NPP has lost in the Upper East region. So 1 as against 14, coming down to 15 in total. And NDC is in the commanding lead in terms of the seats there in the Upper East. But again, people said that is expected because it has always been a stronghold of the. I want to pull this back so we could appreciate. This is the 2020 map, right?
But we are led to fill in for Talency. Like you heard him mention, there were issues with the figures in Talency, but that's been rectified. And so from our back room, we'll fill in the figures. But Talency has been won by the NDC.
I want to quickly. So this is the 2016 map, right? This is the 2016 map of the of the area, right? And you see the picture emerge of the three MPP seats that they held, right? That now have all gone. So Navrongo Central, Zibela have all been taken back, flipped by the NDC.
And just before you proceed, Binduri, which has been won by the NPP now, was actually for the NDC.
Yeah.
So they've lost all the seats they had for the NPP and won 1 from the NDC.
Yes, they've taken it back. I mean, so that is an interesting, of course, permutation there in the Upper East region. So that's a story in the Upper East region. What we're going to be doing for you, this is a 2020 picture again, as we just showed you. We're going to be going, Talency now. Talency now has now come in. Our map has now picked it up and it's showing Benson T. Baba having won it for the NDC. And this is an impressive showing in an area where the NDC traditionally had done well. It was in the 2016 that they performed poorly, but they've come back to default setting and taking the lead there. In fact, if you go to 2012, you see the story again of the Upper East region emerge in this area, where we have one interesting candidate there also picking a seat. That is the PNC's Hassan Azon.
This was in 2012.
If you know, this is 2012. And so the story is to Napdam, so that's a story in 2012. But here we are in 2020, where the NDC is back to its A game. They brought their A game to the Upper East region.
Yeah, all right.
And won back a lot of the seats.
Okay, Evans, we'll be visiting more regions and trying to get the figures and do the balance for you. But right now, we are showing you visuals from the EC's headquarters, and we understand that some supporters of a political party are massing up there. We'll get our men there to give us the details exactly, but we can see that vehicle of the police there at the EC headquarters around Rich. The police is trying to, I can see, direct some vehicles. But what we are picking up is that supporters of a political party are massing up at the EC's headquarters, and our men there will be giving us more details. We're expecting the EC to declare the results by close of today, but our projection here at Joy News and Joy FM is President Akufo-Addo is likely to win or will win the 2020.
And Benis, as you watch the visuals unfold, look at the numbers, the teaming numbers of people who are now besieging the Electoral Commission headquarters. And I see a political party vehicle. It appears the NDC's. The NDC's vehicle is there. And I understand that we're going to our correspondent shortly who is on the standby for us. But I want to put this in context. We saw this play out in 2008. We'll tell the story shortly, which again appears to be repeating itself this year.
Parker, if you can hear me, I can see some of the supporters chanting, some of them holding placards. What exactly is happening? Hello, Parker. So these are live sounds and visuals coming from the EC's headquarters or just around the EC's headquarters at Ritchie and Accra. We understand that supporters of the NDC are massing up there. I can see placards. It's very difficult for me to read the inscriptions on it. I'll get our man on the ground, Parker, to do that for us. We can also hear people saying some stuff, chanting, playing music. Parker will tell us all those details in a moment. But we are also going to our correspondents in the various regions and getting the figures on the parliamentary seats.
But the scenes I'm seeing there is a scene of jubilation. They seem to be dancing with, the men are dancing with the women. It's while some people are holding placards and others are jubilating. I understand Parker is ready now. Hello, Parker. What are these inscriptions on the placards and why are these supporters massing up close to the EC's headquarters?
At the Braka. Now, as you can see, there are hundreds of NDC supporters who have come here this afternoon amassing in front of the EC headquarters. That is the situation here. The police have called for reinforcement. So please. So the police have called for reinforcement, and these individuals are here. Boss, I want to find out from you, why are you here this afternoon?
Oh, you want peace? You want peace? Because 2016, President Mahama accepted the defeat. Now Akufo-Addo came for power. Accepted the defeat. Akufo-Addo came to power. Now I didn't know that you win the election. That's why I'm here. After the voter come here, because of I know that I win the election.
How do you know that your flag bearer in the NDC has won the election?
I will let you know. The how the Electoral Commission they calculate that thing, the same thing Mahamatu they calculate that thing. He let the people they calculate that thing. So if you tell them this thing, you know patient, the same patient, the agent hold NDC hold that the same patient. So you know that. So you know that. So you know. Let him know. Listen to me very carefully. 2016, not be the Electoral Commission declared the election. Victor Bilante declared the election.
Okay, but the Electoral Commission is yet to declare the result. We don't know who has won yet, but so why don't you wait for the Electoral Commission to declare the result?
Electoral Commission, it promises, say 24 hours. 24 hours, you go declare the election. He referred to the declare election, so that he started to change the MP. That the person win. Following day, you want the recount.
Okay, so you want the Electoral Commission to declare the results now? That's what you are saying. Okay, let me talk to you, boss. You are also here. Where are you from? Why are you here?
I'm from Abekan, and the whole Ghana know that JM have already won the election. Should remember last 4 years. Where we reach, he never reached that place, but he already declared himself. So he should not fuck up. We don't have.
Why don't you wait for the EC, Jimensa chairperson, to declare the result? Then we all know why.
The reason why. No, can we wait? No, the reason why we can never wait is it's supposed to be 48 hours, and now we are entering another 24 hours again, added to the 48 hours. So we don't understand them, and we know that we have already won the election. So
the people here say they know that the NDC, they're claiming that the NDC has won the election. projection. Okay, so you wait. I'll speak to you one by one. I am going to speak to you one after the other. So kindly wait. We want to understand why you are here this afternoon. We are live on TV, so let's wait, and then we'll speak to each and every one of you. So, sir, let me speak to you as well. Where are you from? You are here this. Why are you from? What's your name?
You don't supposed to ask me why am I here.
Yes.
The reason why I'm here, our JM have win already. So I want to give you the message to tell the Electoral Commission to advise Nana Addo to step down. I finish.
But the EC hasn't declared yet.
No, I want to tell you should advise the EC to declare for your mama. Let Nana Addo to step down.
But did the party ask these people to come here?
No, don't use the word. No, don't use the word the party. I love the party. That's why I'm here. Okay. I finished my topic. So let the word go to the EC. Should do the right thing.
Okay. And so these are the people who are here this afternoon at the right opposite the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. Now, just across the street is where the police people are. They've called for reinforcement, so they want to ward off the NDC supporters from invading the Electoral Commission premises. There are more individuals here. Now let me talk to you finally, so we can get. I saw Anita Disoso here. We'll try and then speak to them. So, boss, so what are your concerns here this afternoon?
Yes, we are from Okankonof constituency. You see, we are here because of just one thing. Some media houses are creating tension in the country. Typical example is multimedia. At 11:30 a.m. this morning, they were projecting Nana Addo as winners, and they declared on their Chief Jerry Forson was part of the people who did that. We want to send a clear message to the EC and everybody that we are here. From the projections yesterday, we know JM is leading. The people voted for change. We are here for peace. Nobody is fighting anybody. We just want Jimensa to do the needful, declare John Mahama for peace to prevail. Without that, we are not going to accept anything more than a declaration for JM.
So these are. We are moving to the. We'll come to you, but we'll move to the. So that we want to show our viewers the police who are here this afternoon. So as you can see, they barricaded the whole. In fact, one road has been blocked. If you look at those coming from, that is the hospital. They have blocked that road leading to the Ridge Hospital, and so the police are stationed and have warded off the NDC supporters from invading the Electoral Commission premises. The people are saying that they will stay here until the EC declares the result. And I can see some of the things that they've written on their placards for Ijapa and PDS scandal. We will vote you out. So that is what they are saying. This one says Akufo-Addo, the president. Okay, you're talking about corruption here, and Ghana has spoken. Let the EC declare the result. And the message, or what they are chanting, is we need peace, we need peace, we need peace, we need peace. So that is what they've been saying, and this is the message here this afternoon. Yes, sir. So finally, your word for me.
Chairman, I talk to you. I say we catch you. I don't know we are seeing. I don't know it here.
You go ahead.
Yes. Amutie station be a amonti omo wase. Eno sa no nanchen. Okankwe no ofofo ye ba ha no. Ye to aba eyi oba foforo ye nsisa ye. Nsisa na chi ne yehu se MP wo no ye city MP. Aye MPP o ye fuseni. Okofo ballot box tanko di be wuram. No, so
the military just arrived. The military just arrived here as well. So the police clearly are calling for reinforcement, both from the police side and also from from the military as well. So these are the concerns they are raising here at the right opposite the Electoral Commission. So if you can hear me, this is the situation here at the EC headquarters, where a number of NDC supporters have invaded the premises. In fact, they've blocked the roads, and that they have decided.
We'll go back to Chrissy Parker-Wilson shortly. Evans mentioned the numbers are increasing there, even as supporters of the NDC mass up. Winston Amma will be joining Evans Mensah shortly. But let me take you now. The EU Observer Mission is holding a press conference.
Let me say that the election day was a success, both for the people of Ghana and for the election administration. Polling was organized in an efficient and transparent manner and took place in a peaceful atmosphere. The vast majority of our European Union young observers positively assessed the voting process and the election environment generally. Voting was well conducted, party agents were present at all polling stations, and verification of voters was implemented. Counting was transparent in the presence of party agents who signed the results and received copies, which is critical transparency measure. Ghanaians voted freely, and while there were isolated violent incidents, both on election day and during the campaign, so my full solidarity to the victims and to their families. Fears about violence and vigilantism fortunately didn't materialize. They were minor, they were isolated incidents, some of them even tragic ones. The Electoral Commission completed technical preparations for the elections in a timely manner. Nevertheless, the way the Electoral Commission leadership is appointed is not inclusive and does not build public confidence. All 7 Electoral Commission members are selected by the President of Ghana for an indefinite tenure and without consultation or consensus with the opposition. This is a fact. On a positive note, we consider that there are not unreasonable restrictions on the right to vote. And we can assess that the registration process was inclusive and concluded with no serious challenges to the number of registered voters nationwide or in regions. The presidential race was a unique contest, featuring among the 12 candidates a president and a former president. And for the first time, and this is very important, we have a woman running as vice presidential candidate on behalf of one of the major parties. However, our mission has also noted that women are significantly underrepresented in Ghanaian politics. The campaign was highly competitive and often confrontational, and was dominated by the president and opposition leader. Due to COVID-19, large rallies were replaced by smaller outdoor events and frequent door-to-door visits. With the exception of a few isolated violent incidents that I spoke about them before, and I want to express again my solidarity with the victims and their families, campaigning and voting were peaceful. However, constantly increased costs of running campaign are a matter of concern. Several of our interlocutors raised concerns about the monetization of politics in Ghana. Unregulated campaign finance, the reportedly common practice of vote buying, and the prevalent misuse of state resources for electioneering purposes created an uneven playing field. It would benefit future elections in Ghana if these were addressed. The media environment in Ghana is vibrant and diverse, but also polarized. During the observation period, the media operated freely and managed to provide voters with sufficient information on both the NPP and NDC and their flag bearers. However, state-owned media favored the ruling party and its presidential candidate. Mostly I'm speaking on TV. Through extensive coverage of news and live broadcasts and inauguration and projects launched by the President and other government representatives. Our mission also monitored social media, which, as we know, is playing an increasingly important role in elections across the world. The 2 main parties deployed social media teams who posted content in a coordinated manner across a range of platforms to promote their presidential candidate and discredit the rival. Sadly, misinformation spread by both sides risk confusing voters and interfering in the formation of electoral opinions. Last but not least, domestic observers contributed to the transparency and credibility of this process. The CODEO network, with support from the Center for Democratic Development and also the Institute for Democratic Governance and the WANEP, deployed observers. Domestic observation is organized, credible, and well perceived by the stakeholders. So my address is over, and I am open to you.
So here is how we go about the questions. Please introduce yourself by name and the media outlet who you work for. And we will take 2 questions at a time. So we have 2 microphones in the room. I kindly ask you basically to use those microphones. Please, yes.
Briefing. I'm Louise DeWatt with AFP News Agency. I have 3 questions, but they're very short, so I'll make it brief. First question, do you have any indications that you can give on the turnout? Second question, police said that 5 people have died and 19 were injured during election and post-electoral violence. Does that match what you have, what you've observed? Are there more incidents that you have recorded? And third question, the opposition party has just finished a press conference calling on its supporters to mass up. Is that a worry? Thank you.
Like who follows?
Final question was.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll begin by the last question. We are not a political body. We are an independent team, an independent observation mission. Even we are independent from the actual head of mission of the European Union in Accra, as well from the European Parliament. So we are an observer mission. What any party does, it belongs to politics. And we are here just to observe the elections and to provide recommendations in our final report. So this is one. The second thing, it is, I said twice, that very tragic events happened and people died. Up to our knowledge, in all the procedure, there was something like 61 in accordance with Security Services report that, I mean, you could call them as violent incidents. Some kind of violence that, of course, they are not the same. But when we see the election, it's like looking to the horizon. The horizon is not 10 meters, it's the full horizon. So we are just saying that, in general, the elections were in a peaceful way with tragic incidents. The tragic incidents were not the general outcome. The general outcome was a peaceful approach, a peaceful action, and elections going, let me say, in a correct way. This is our approach, and violent incidents were minor, and let me say, you could establish counting little, I mean, in not such amount, they were not so much. I mean, there were some, and I repeat, horizon is great, and we cannot just look to a part of it. It is the general outcome of the elections, and the general outcome, it was in a peaceful way.
Maybe I can ask for the turnout question.
Yes, do it, please, Gabriel.
And the question is on turnout. What we can say that also what chief observers just said, that on election day, we saw that voters were participating in elections very fairly and in large numbers. But in terms of the specific figures, we as a mission, we are not projecting the results, or we are not announcing results, neither turnout. This is something that has to be done by the Electoral Commission. So we are waiting for the EC official results and also official turnout.
Next question, please. Do we have any more questions? Yes, Joy.
Yes, my name is Manuel Kranting. I work with JoyNews. The Electoral Commission in Ghana had given itself a 24-hour timeline to declare the results, which obviously has been revived, and we're yet to hear the results now. News coming through says that the supporters of the main opposition party, the NDC, have massed up at the offices of the Electoral Commission piling pressure on it to declare the results. I want to pick your reactions to this particular development and how you think it's going to impact on the processes as you've just mentioned now. Thank you.
Well, Mrs. Mensah told us that they wished to present the results the next day at 5 o'clock. The reality is not that they are late. The point is that they have to be, and they will be. In accordance with the legal frame of Ghana, there is no deadline. And so being late, I think, is not the issue. This is first point. The second one, we are an electoral commission. We are an electoral observation mission, excuse me. And we are not here to establish who is winning or not winning. Please don't confuse yourself and don't confuse. I mean, we are not a court. We are just observing how the elections were, and this is capital important, that we were not just in the day of the elections. Because an election process is not a line of persons waiting for under the sun and a ballot box and someone getting inside the box a ballot paper. The electoral procedure begins 1 month before, and it is all the way even after. That's why we came here on 31st of October and not the day before of the elections. And what we are doing here is neither giving a decision, because we are not a court, we are an observation mission, and just proposing what could be better for the next elections in our recommendations, as we did before in 2016. So please, neither we are interested in the results, it's up to the Ghanaian people, neither we are thinking that some delay that is in accordance with the Constitution of Ghana, because there is no definite deadline, is going to affect what we have seen. We have seen what we have seen, and we are producing the results of our presence at the election process. Alexander, do you want to say something? Thank you. Yes?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Harriet Nati. I host Diplomatic Affairs on Pan-African Television. I'd like to know, you were in the country in 2016. It's 2020, 4 years ago. Based on the recommendations you gave after your observation, have we done anything better? Have we improved on our elections so far?
We don't have opinions. We are dealing on facts. And I'll tell you that in the recommendations that we presented after the 2016 elections, I was not here, we presented 20 recommendations. From them, five were partly implemented. So, some of them that we think they are important, for example, the control of funding of political parties during the election, to say something, the election of the Electoral Commission, for example, it is already included in these 20 recommendations, were not changed. So what we do is to tell and to make recommendations in order to get better elections in the future. And we do it in Ghana, no, we do it everywhere. But there is something that is capitally important. I am Spanish. And as you can imagine, we are very near to countries like Venezuela. Venezuelan authorities asked and invited the European Union to attend the elections in Venezuela. We didn't. Even Josep Borrell, that he is the vice president, he's Spanish. I am Spanish. But we don't go to places where we are invited if there is not a democratic situation in the country, minimum democratic conditions. COVID is affecting everyone. It's a pandemic that is affecting everyone. European Parliament is closed, but the European Union is here because we have respect and we consider that Ghana is a democracy. We don't go to Venezuela, we came to Ghana.
Okay, so we take 2 more questions.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Isaac Ohine from Class Media Group. The officer just mentioned of the COVID. He just mentioned of the COVID, and I want to find out from him. You came here to observe the election. Looking at the pandemic period that we are in, do you think the EC has officially go with the protocols that need to go, that were put in place towards the election? I know you've been to most of the regions for an observation based on this period. Has the EC done enough for the voters to go through the procedure? Well,
thank you. I want to do a short introduction. This mission is a team, it's not me. And I have, I have recognition for all the members of the team, and that's why I think that Alexander will answer.
So when it comes to COVID and electoral commissions and measures taken by the Electoral Commission to enforce the COVID protocol, we as a mission noted that also during the voter registration exercise, which took place before the mission was deployed, the Electoral Commission put in place quite strict COVID-19 prevention measures, where people were asked to wash their hands, keep the social distancing, and wear the face masks. Equally, for election day, the EC advertised the policy of no mask, no vote. And on top of it, we are aware that EC reduced the number of voters per polling station and consequently increased the number of polling stations to minimize the crowds on election day. And on top of it, they also introduced a so-called COVID-19 ambassador, meaning at every single polling station, there was a specific polling station staff with a role to enforce the COVID protocols. Our observations suggest that these protocol measures, COVID-19 protocol, was largely respected at the polling stations, but of course there were also cases when approach of the polling staff to enforcing the COVID protocol was more relaxed, and I think given the circumstances, this is quite understandable. But overall, we can commend the Electoral Commission for trying their best to ensure that COVID-19 would not have a negative effect on election day.
And we're watching this unfold with the EU Observer Mission, and the role they play, Winston, is critical in our elections. It is important to hear what their view is on how, I guess, the elections had gone.
Exactly, Evans, and they've been talking about how they came in October, made recommendations, but they also talked about how the process has been, the fact that COVID-19 may have impacted the campaigning season. However, that notwithstanding, the fact that we've been able to vote peacefully. I think the most important thing now is the declaration of results, which all of us are waiting for officially from the Electoral Commission. And so that's what we're waiting for.
Absolutely, and we'll keep a close eye on that. I understand that we can go to Anas Sabit, who is in the Bono region. Hello, Anas. We're going to be getting his take. One of the things we want to do for you in the Parliamentary, where the dispute is currently, is to break it down so you could follow us in terms of, who has won what. This is the Bono East picture that Anas Sabit is joining us to clarify. You see the constituencies there. Bono East, we've said, is NDC. Remember? Yeah, we had projected it. We have projected that NDC will win it. And as the picture has shown, it's pan out.
It is, Evans. But the interesting thing about Bono East is that you're actually expecting the NPP in the Parliamentary, for instance, to win Techima North and Nkranza North, where Major Derek Odro is Member of Parliament. Now, he loses out in Monday's election, but of course the NPP wins Kintampo South, they win Techima South and Pru West. Sine West, we're told, is currently in dispute. One or two issues not adding up, and so we cannot bring you results from that particular constituency.
Let's get Anas to give us a breakdown. I'm going to do the numbers. I'm going to do the numbers for you as he does that. Hello, Anas. I know it's been a long, tortuous last few days, but let's try and see if we can settle this dispute with the numbers. give us a sense of the parliamentary picture now that all the counting is over and we're waiting for the EC to put this all together. But we have a sense of this. Give us a picture.
We have 11 constituencies. Out of the 11, as I speak to you now, we have 10 certified results. One is under contention, like you said, the Sene West constituency. Before the 2020 elections, the NDC had 6 out of the 11. The MPP had 5. As I speak to you now, out of the 10 that is out now, the MPP had 3, and the NDC is having 7 of them. We're waiting for the Sene West to be able to tell the total picture, or the complete picture of the region now. MPP lost 4 of its seats it had in 2016, Techiman North and South, Nkranza North and South, and then the Atibuwa Mountain constituency. They were also able to snatch 2 seats from the NDC. The Pro West constituency, we have the DC, or the district chief executive, who was the candidate for the MPP, Stephen Jalula, winning that seat for the first time in the party's history in that particular constituency. Same happened in the Kintampo South constituency. The DC for the area, Alexander Jan, also winning that seat for the first time in the party's history in the Kintampo South constituency. So these were the 2 seats the MPP had, and they were able to retain one of the seats they are having. That is the Techiman South constituency. The Deputy Minister for Regional Organization, Martin Ajemensa-Kosa, is also going to Parliament. So this is the picture from the Bono East region as it stands now. We have that of the presidential, but this is the parliamentary results I just gave out.
Okay, thank you very much there, Anas, a bit. So that's a picture there. Anas joining us to clarify this. Winston?
Exactly. So, Evans, you know that when the NDC came out first, I just want to put this out, because when the NDC came out first, they talked about winning 9 seats in the Bono East region. They talked about Techiman South, also going to the NDC. Now, from what Anas has told us, it does not look like Techiman South went to the NDC. Let's get the exact figures from Techiman South.
Techiman South. Let's go to Techiman South and Parliamentary. But this is the picture there. There's a picture as it stands right now. MPP has 3 seats in Bono East. NDC has 7. MPP has lost 4.
Yes.
4 of the seats they used to hold.
And 1-2 from
and 1-2 from the NDC. But net, they've lost. There's a net loss for them in there. And I want to go to the key thing you're talking about, Winston, which is the picture in
Techiman South.
Here we go. This is the Upper East. Let me pull the picture there for you from the Bono East.
Yeah, so this Techiman South. And so Martin Ajemensa-Kosa polls 49,682 votes. That's 50.2% to beat the NDC's Christopher, who polled 49,205 votes. So that's it. But when the NDC held its press conference on Monday night, they talked about having flipped the Techiman South and North constituencies from what the Electoral Commission has declared, of which we have here. The NDC did not win the Techiman South constituency in the parliamentary elections. And so in the Bono East region, out of 10 constituencies declared so far, the NDC has 7 and the NPP has 3 seats.
Okay, so that's the point you made that is important, because it has been disputed.
Yes.
I mean, the NDC claimed that they have won it.
Yeah.
We can tell you on authority that they haven't.
They haven't won it.
I mean, and the NPP, in fact, has won it. The margins tell a story. Very, very tiny.
Very, very tiny.
Margins there. I mean, let's do the maths for those who are interested in these numbers for them. Sorry, Winston, let me bring it back.
Yes, let's bring it back.
Let me bring the map back, because the map is the only way you get the results.
Exactly.
Here we go. Let's do the maths for those who are interested, Winston.
This is 477 margin.
Okay, so that is 400.
477. I mean, let's just do it this way. Let's use this. So that's 682. Okay, so my handwriting. 782, 205, because they all had 49,000, so 205. So what you do is that you borrow one from here, so this gives you 7. Okay, so there's 7, and this is 7, so 7, and this is 4. 477.
So 477 votes difference, and so it was close.
Very close.
And I'm NDC. I'm trying to figure out why they probably genuinely, honestly, may have gotten it wrong. It possibly may not have been deliberate, because if it's this close and you are working with polling station results, you may possibly be tempted to project a bit if you have a few polling stations to come. And if it's that tight, it could trick you into thinking in the beginning that you may have won. In fact, remember what we were trying to do the projection last night into this morning. Last night, we thought we could project, but it would be too dangerous too.
Exactly.
Because the margins, the difference between Nanado and JM as of last night, it's like early morning, right? Around midnight, was very close. So do you project, or do you give us a certain path to it and come in the morning and be sure, you know? So I'm trying to picture maybe why the NDC got it wrong.
Well, you know, because when results start trickling in, Evans, one of the things about results, when they start coming, and if they're coming from your strongholds, you do a bit of projection also.
Yeah.
And so the projection sometimes is if, then. If I get this, then I'd win. So in the midst of the if and then and here I am actually inferring that that could be the reason. And so maybe the NDC may have gotten votes from the strongholds of the NPP and felt that the margins were small, and that's favorable to them. But you see, the thing about election was, and I've always cited the example of the Kojo Smith and Fritz Bafo situation, where Kojo Smith, on the 8th of, in his pleadings at a court, said that on the 8th of December 2008, Fritz Bafo was on Adom FM conceding defeat, congratulating him. But it turns out that he did not win the election. He did not win because a lot of things would happen. So
because even Fritz himself had seen the votes possibly, and thought, wow, but I'm sure it was marginal too.
Yes. So you see it and you think, oh, this is marginal. Okay, so it looks like I am losing out. So I'll give you a typical example. In the Ladadiko-Tupon constituency, the MPP's kind of Gerard Nyanyufio. So I was in touch with his campaign team, and they say, well, according to Gerard, the margins that are coming are huge. He does not think that he'll be able to close the margin. At that point in time, he's conceded. But in elections, you may think you cannot close the margin, and the magic happens somewhere.
Yeah,
you're gone.
You just need one vote to win. That's all it takes, and that's sometimes you have to be patient to the very end.
Exactly.
And it's the only reason why we'll be able to, make a projection based on what we do. I want to go to the Volta region where Ivy Setoji is joining us. I mean, there shouldn't be any quarrel over Volta region parliamentary, elections, because you just know largely NDC, with the exception of the Ameru miracle, in there. And let's pull up our Volta regional map. Here we go. And by the way, this is Hohoi.
Hohoi, yes. So it used to be Hohoi North until 2012, and it was changed to Hohoi. Then Hohoi South became Afajato South.
So here is it. I mean, there is
Bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
There's a picture. I mean, John, Peter, we'll talk about it a bit more, but there's no controversy in here in the Volta region about who was won and who was lost. But let me bring in our correspondent, Ivy Setoji, who is joining us to give us the numbers here. Ivy, so let's go to the numbers and let's settle it for those who are interested in how the Volta region has voted in the parliamentary elections. Hello, Ivy.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. So in the Volta region, as you rightly said, Ketuno, for example, Aveji Bates was able to beat the Minister for Chieftaincy, a little over 5,000 there. And then that was a little close according to the residents. In Keta, too, the margin was large or big, as well as Anglon. But then what the residents also realized was that the figures or the numbers gotten by these people in these areas by the MPP have increased, according to them. In Akachi North too, the same thing happened. It was not too close. And now Ketu South, Mamaga Difa Gomashi also won. Akachi, the NDC, and then the NPP, that's the DC contestant where a lawyer.
This is the picture there that Ivy was trying to illustrate. Apologies for that bad connection there. Out of the constituencies that you have in that particular part of the country, the MPP has just one of it.
Just one. And look, Evans, you said it. If anybody had told you before election 2020 that the NPP stood a chance of winning a seat in the Volta region following the crashing of the Oti region, now it was in 2004 that the NPP won the then Nkwanta North constituency. Okay, and so that was the first time the NPP won a parliamentary seat in the Volta region, maintained it in 2008, lost it in 2012, came back in 2016 with Karachi East constituency, that's Jato's constituency. However, following the crashing of the Oti region, you would have imagined that the NPP's strength would remain in that region and not in the Volta region. And then Amewu performs magic. He wins it for the NPP.
This is the Amewu miracle.
5,000 votes.
Yeah, and for me, it's not the miracle. It's not so much. Well, it's in the victory, but it's also in the margin. It's even more so for me in the margin than in the actual victory, because you were expecting him to win, because this is a historically an ironclad stronghold of the NDC in terms of parliamentary and presidential. If an NPP candidate was going to, make history, I was expecting to be on knife edge in terms of a few votes, not even 100, 10 or 20, or sometimes in some cases it boils down to one vote, right? I was expecting to be that slim, right? But Amewu wins it quite handsomely. What, almost 5,000 difference there. He pulls it by, which is significant. We're talking about 26,952 votes, right? That John Peter Amewu secures in Hohoe, as against the NDC's candidate, who was the overwhelming favorite going into the race, who has 21,821 votes.
You're looking at 5,131.
So 5,131. This, for me, this margin of victory by an NPP candidate in Hohoe, it is amazing. I mean, this is something that I guess political scientists need to study. I mean, seriously, you need to go in there and do a bit of a study and understand what the dynamics were. What is it that the people were thinking? But I'm also looking at, in the next 4 years, the retention will be key, right? I mean, this is an island of a sort. It's going to be, well, he finds himself up here alone, but if you look at the entire region, he's going to be sitting there alone. And I bet the NDC will have to do everything possible to take it back.
The NDC certainly will do everything possible to take it back. But, prior to the election day, voting day itself, you saw the NDC's Johnson Asiedu Nketia showing up in the Volta region, describing Amewu as a good man, but good men go to heaven and not parliament. You remember that?
Yes.
You also realize that John Mahama went to Hohoe. In his final rounds in the Volta region, he went to Hohoe at the time. The reason was simple. The NDC's own polling showed that John Peter Amewu was a threat to the party's seat in the Hohoe constituency. What they believed they could do was to get the party bigwigs to galvanize the base, energize the base, so that they would turn out in their numbers and vote for them. Now, this is the point. President Akufo-Addo gets 14,000 in this constituency, so he doesn't win.
Yeah, he doesn't win.
He doesn't win.
But I can bet, and we'll look at a picture. I will look at a picture. I can bet that because of Amewu, he would have improved his actual winning of losing margin from 2016 and the actual votes.
He improved from 2016. He had about 5,000 or 6,000 in 2016.
Yeah. I mean, we can show that.
Yeah, let's show that. He's improved from 2016.
Because this is important to try and digest this a bit more.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing this Hohoi digestion for years to come in terms of we're going to go to the presidential in 2016.
Yeah.
So 2016, this was a situation in Hohoi. It's not showing because then the name was this is Volta region. So Volta you're talking about.
So that's Hohoi. There you have it. Hohoi here.
There we go. So this is Hohoi. This is the presidential.
I told you 6,000.
6,869. So what's the story this year for 2020 in that same part of the country? For the presidential?
14,000.
That is a significant jump from 6,000 to 14,000.
Exactly.
Again, the Amewu factor.
That, no doubt, is the Amewu factor. And so that would tell you, and John Mahama in 2016 has 35,000 and it reduces to 33,000.
It will shrink.
Of course, it would shrink because then Akufo-Addo is improving. But this is the whole thing. And if you go to Hohoi right now, I think the NDC should also have realized, when you go to Hohoi, following the party primaries where Professor Margaret Kweku won, there were a lot of party members who were unhappy, even with her selection as a party's parliamentary candidate. Now, John Peter Amewu was DCE, later MCE from 2005 to 2009 when the NPP lost the election in 2008. He contested in 2004, polled 9,000. Now, until 2020, he was the NPP candidate to have had the most votes in the Hohoi constituency. So it tells you that this is somebody who's loved by the people.
Yeah.
And when he came in, and we did the first ballot box from Hohoi, speaking to all the people from Hohoi, many people will tell you that, look, I am not NPP, but I like JP, as they call him. I'm not NPP, but I like JP, as they call him. And I do know, and my sources tell me that even at the presidency, there were instances they said, oh, the people are talking about sketch and blast. Why don't you ensure that they do, they do a purist vote for all of us?
Yeah.
But one thing was obvious. John Peter Amewu was the man loved by the people of Hohoi to become their MP. He had actually done a lot of campaigning on the fact that do not vote because of your attachment to the NDC. Vote for development. And the people of Hohoi
made their calculations.
Yes.
And a final point on this performance in the Volta region. Remember that on Sunday evening when we started election eve, we did some projections and said this year you have to perform better in your candidates in your opposing party stronghold to win the presidential race. We've already projected Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to win. Now it's playing out, and we saw the analysis show that I was going to pull this up shortly. We'll bring that up for you, that particular analysis that we did. But the NPP was on upward trajectory in the Volta region in terms of their performance. They were losing, but they were gaining on the NDC. And their best performance, yes, was 17% of the votes in the Volta region for the 2016 elections. It's clear that trajectory possibly has continued, and which has fed into their eventual, as we've projected, Nana Addo to win tonight. Hohoi and Amewu's performance, I guess, is just best epitomizes that entire story for you.
Exactly, and one other place you can go, Evans, just to depict that is the Ketu North constituency. And I think we'll leave the voter in the Ketu North constituency. Watch this.
So this is Aveji. And Aveji is the deputy minority leader there.
And Kofi Jamesi.
The gap, I guess you want to say, has closed. James Aveji has lost ground a bit. Let's illustrate that by going to 2016 and see the story as it emerged there. He's dropped.
Because you recognize that in 2016, Jamesi put 15,000. And Aveji had 25,000. He increases, and that was about a margin of 10,000. Now it's reduced to 5,000. And if I were advising Aveji, I tell him the signs are beginning to show.
Step off the scene when the applause is loudest. And again, our projection panned out. We said going into this year's elections in the Volta region, the momentum was on the side of the NPP in terms of the gains that they were making. We still expected the NDC to win, no doubt. But our point was, how many more votes can the NPP get from your opponent in his stronghold to add to the ones that you are guaranteed from your strongholds. I want to, so that clearly is what has panned out, as we told you on Sunday night with our analysis, and I'll pull that back up later when we begin to digest this a bit more for you to see. But I want to come to a place that we know very well here in Greater Accra.
Okay, sure.
Let's see the story as it had panned out here in Greater Accra. I want to pull that map for you, the Greater Accra map. Another swing region, always telling you who has won. I want to bring in, this is the pictorial image of Greater Accra right now, as it's panned out in Parliamentary. My colleague, Daniel Dadzi, is standing by with the breakdown for us so that we can begin to appreciate who has won what here and who may be in the lead to try and resolve this controversy over the Parliamentary. Daniel, take it away.
Hi, Evan. So we have 31 seats out of the 34 seats in the Greater Accra region. And so far, if you look at the cursory tally, the NDC has 18 seats. The NPP has 13 seats. So I'll quickly take you through some of the more interesting ones. Of course, what happened at Ayawaso West Wogon has been trending on social media since yesterday. Lydia Sarah Mahassan retaining that seat for the governing MPP. Another one, of course, that we heard earlier was the Adentan seat. The communications director for the NPP, Yabuabinga Samoa, stepped aside after just one term. Adentan maintaining its reputation there as not retaining members of parliament. Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, of course, would have 2024 to either disprove or prove that particular theory. Amasaman will be interesting, Evans, for your analysis because the NPP has not won there since 2004. And the NPP won that one for the first time in a number of years. That's the Amasaman constituency. Ponkatamanso became quite popular because Hobson-Adoye stood there. We all know Hobson-Adoye, popular in the among the NPP. Again, Lejokuku Benjamin Ayikunate won from Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Again, Lejokuku is a constituency that is popular for not retaining members of parliament. Crow finally steps aside, Evans, from being a purist swing constituency. That's constituency that determines who wins. Because according to our projection, Evans, President Akufo-Addo, of course, is in the lead in a presidential, but Crow voted NDC in parliamentary and in presidential. So that's another constituency to look at. Beyond the key swing constituency, Daddy Kotopon, of course, has gone back to the NDC. Joseph Gerald Nyanofio could not repeat what Vincent Odoto-Esowa did the last election. But again, for Daddy Kotopon, the last time the NPP won there was in the 2000 election. So it was always going to be a tall order for Joseph Gerald Nyanofio. Medina has seen the exit of Boniface Siddiq, who was a member of parliament. Francis Xavier Sosu takes that seat back for the NDC. And the number of Tema East is also a very interesting seat because Tema East, Central and West have traditionally always voted for the NPP. But this time round, Daniel Titus Glover was not able to keep that. However, Tema Central saw Eve Hansen Norte winning, and Carlos Ahenkra was able to hold on to Tema West constituency. To be specific, the constituencies we do not have as of now are Trobu, Domiabra, Obom, and Okaikwe North, which we're still working on. But so far, it looks like the NDC has taken an impressive lead here in the Greater Accra region. Remember, in 2016, the NPP ended the tally with 21 seats. The NDC has managed to turn that around so far. Currently, they have 18 seats to the NPP's 13 by our tally. But of course, we have 3 constituencies which we are yet to call as far as the parliamentary results are concerned, Evans.
Daniel, thank you very much. And now, Wingsing, as you was talking, something struck me. One of the things that we're beginning to observe this year is that all the assumptions, all the historical analysis that we know had pertained to Greater Accra being a swing constituency, this year's election is beginning to shatter all the things that you know. Everything that we knew going into this, based on which we've made projections since 1992, is being shattered in this year's elections. But why?
Well, it is very simple, Evans. You've seen the NPP, okay? And we talked about the fact that even if you win the Greater Accra, win the Central region, win the, Western region.
It's not going to be enough.
It wasn't going to be enough. You had to perform very well in your opponent's stronghold.
Again, something we told you on Sunday evening. That this year, Greater Accra may not win you necessarily.
Exactly. And following that analysis, we've seen that the NPP now won in the Northeast region. Of course, we were expecting them to win. They did very well in the Northern region and did well also in the Savannah regions. Now, what this does is that it actually makes it difficult for the NDC because once the NPP is closing the margins in your stronghold, what it means is that you should also be closing the margins in their stronghold in addition to winning the swing regions. And I've always maintained that because of the sheer numbers of the Ashanti region, the Ashanti region numbers alone makes it very, very, very critical in every country's, in every year's election. Because if the NPP wins 75% of the Ashanti regional votes, that's about 1.7 million. And if the NDC gets 25-26%, we're looking at the NDC getting almost 700,000 votes in the Ashanti region. So if the NPP, for instance, and if you look at the margins, has a margin, a difference of about 1 million in the Ashanti region. What that means is that it takes care of the Volta region, okay? It takes care of the Volta region, it takes care of the Northern region, it takes care of the Bono East region. Then you're left with the swing regions. The Eastern region can take care of maybe Greater Accra and Central. Mind you, the NPP won in the Western region.
Yeah.
So that makes the election, totally different from what we have seen in the past years.
Yeah, based on our projection.
Yeah.
This is going to be the first time in our fourth Republican electoral history that Greater Accra votes for the losing presidential party.
Yes,
first.
that's true.
It's never happened before. Greater Accra has consistently voted for the winning presidential party, right? But we have a case here where NDC has 18 seats.
Yeah.
We have, 3 yet to come because of the disputes around it. And MPP is a 13th. My point is, even if you give all the 3 to the MPP, they won't make up on the NDC's 18. And yet, we've projected, and the figures will bear out, that Nana Akufo-Addo will be the next president and retaining it. That, again, is one of those traditional historical assumptions, notions, everything, call it what, that has been shattered by these year's elections. Nothing is making sense anymore. But what I love about the analysis we've been doing and helping our audience to follow is that if you follow that since election eve, this should make sense to you. Because we told you that, remember, again, even in the course of the elections, we did the path to 50% plus one. The first analysis we did, we said, you cannot win this year's elections simply by winning the traditional swing regions of Greater, Central, and Western. And that this year, the opponent strongholds are going to be key. And I'm curious to see what is happening in the Ashanti region. Whether, again, our analysis is panning out. We've seen that panning out in Volta, where NDC is losing a bit of ground again. MPP is gaining. We said, again, going into the elections, predicting that for the NDC to win this year, they need to do 24% or more in Ashanti. I'm curious to see what the situation is there, whether they were able to do that.
From the figures I'm seeing, again, this is going to surprise you and I, because from the figures I'm seeing, it looks like the NDC did about 25-26% or more in the Ashanti region. And that again would throw out the whole analysis of what you need to do in the Ashanti region to win. I think what has changed the dynamics in this year's elections, and as we predicted, was that you had to perform well in your opponent's stronghold, and happenings in the northern, northeast, and the Savannah regions have actually, tilted this election into what we normally wouldn't expect. But one thing I also must add, Evans, is that the MP also won in the Central region. Now, while they lost the parliamentary elections in the Central region, Akufo-Addo won more votes in the Central region. What this tells you, and we've been having that conversation about, what it means when the presidential candidate wins a region and his candidates are not winning. It tells you that maybe the presidential candidate is more popular, or his members of parliament or parliamentary candidates have lost touch with the people.
That point you make there was true for John Mahama in 2016. He was more popular than his parliamentary candidate. It appears that has switched now. I want to go to Tamale right now, show you some visuals, because there's a demonstration we understand currently happening, and you can see the conversations happening. I wanted to listen to a brief into some of the things that, of course, the demonstrators are saying. Looks like NDC supporters on the streets.
And they will declare the results, and we are on the streets.
We are waiting and waiting, and as if we are waiting in vain. We are seeing that Joy FM and the media want to massage the election for them. All the media houses, they are in support of the MPP, the ruling party. They are in support of them because they have received monies outside the television. We haven't seen them outside where they have received money, and they are massaging stuff for them.
Are you able to substantiate this allegation?
Yes. Yes, we know they have received something. If they wanted truth, they should have followed the right channel. But the way they are dealing with us means they have taken something from the government. And because we are in opposition, we don't have the power. That is what they are treating us like that.
Thank you very much. Sister, me pacho body na chairman yentia wo ba ha area.
Me pacho from me Tayiru Priscilla. Me wa ha in the because John Mahama has won the election, and we want the EC to come out to declare the results. If not, we are not going anywhere. We are ready to die for Ghana. We want peace. That is why we are.
But if you want peace and you say you are ready to die, marching up in the street, is it not violence?
The media are not telling us the truth because they bought them. They have received bribes. Everybody knows that John Dramani Mahama has won the election fair. 2016, we gave up. Nana Addo Danko, Akufo-Addo should give up. He should give up.
And of course, that's a protest in the northern region where Martina is standing by with the. This is happening at the EC headquarters as well here in the Greater Accra region. Listen, the projection that we've done, it is based on numbers, and numbers in elections, they simply do not lie. And we put all our credibility on the back of this. Careful analysis over the time, and that leads to that projection that we did earlier. This is purely based on the numbers that we have collated across the country, deploying all these hundreds and hundreds of reporters who are double checking this just so for you we can be as accurate as we've always been in election year. This is years, 2 decades of experience that has come to bear fruits for you in the last few minutes with the projection that we've done for Nana Addo Danko Akufo-Addo this year. We've done it for all the parties. It's simply you follow the numbers.
Exactly.
You follow the numbers.
And the numbers don't lie. And we have said, based on these margins, it is statistically impossible. We cannot manufacture numbers. I mean, and so yes, we can understand that people will be disappointed because their parties have not won elections. They expect them to win. But, I mean, nobody bribes anybody to conjure numbers. Not at all.
I want to take you to Eliasu Tankurana, who is joining us in the Northeast region. Hello, Eliasu. Eliasu, thanks for joining us. We're still keeping with our parliamentary map here in the Northeast region. Eliasu, so we see, wow, this has failed completely, right? You don't need any more stories behind it, but Eliasu is on the ground, and so has a bit more of the intricacies to share with us. Eliasu, I see on my screen more blues than green. What does that translate to in the actuals on the ground?
Well, what it means is that there are 6 constituencies in the region here. And before this particular election, the 2 parties, the NDC and the NPP, I mean, these constituencies were evenly distributed among these 2 political parties, with the NPP before this election holding the Wale constituency, the Nalerigu Gambaga constituency, and the Bunkurugu Napanduri constituency. And then the NDC was also holding the Yagaba Kubore constituency, the Chirponi constituency, and then the UU constituency. But with this particular election, both parties lost all their seats, yet won new ones. And this is how it played out. The NDC lost the Yagaba Kubore constituency to the MPP, and that is Mustafa Yusuf. And since 2012, between these two gentlemen, Mustafa Yusuf and Ibrahim Tanko, the constituency have switched hands among these two personalities. Tanko was holding it in 2004, and Mustafa came in around 2012 and took it. And then in 2016, Tanko came back, snatched the seat from Mustafa, and 2020, Mustafa made a comeback with a very huge margin, about 8,000 votes there. And then also in the Unyo constituency, again, the NDC lost that particular constituency, and used to be the member of parliament used to be the direct brother of the former Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bugri Nabu, and he lost that particular seat to the MPP's Oscar Lewal. And also in the Chepone constituency, the NDC also lost that particular seat to the MPP Abdul Razak Tahiru. And if you look at the seats that NDC won, they managed to win only 2 out of these 6 constituencies. And that is making news right now in the Northeast region, because the NDC won the Nalirgu Gambaga seat from the local government minister, Haji Alima. And that is a big news around here. And then also the Northeast regional minister and the member of parliament, he used to be the member of parliament for Bunkrugu. He also lost that particular seat. Solomon Boa also lost that seat to the NDC. And so if you look at this joint, and they lost that particular seat, it's a big news around here. And so this is how the whole situation in the Northeast region, and in all, we had about 288,081 voters, registered voters, with about 645 polling stations. And after the elections yesterday, when we were on the ground and we took part in the collation process, and the EC gave us, after their tally, they said the MPP presidential candidate had 122,742, and then the NDC presidential candidate also had 112,306. So clearly, the MPP won this particular seat, Ivan.
Fascinating indeed. And when you get into the numbers and who has won what, it tells you a story. But this is the global picture there. This was where we were in 2016 with sharing equally, right? And then this has flipped a bit because MPP has gained on the NDC in this part of the country.
Exactly. And you know, the interesting thing is that they both lost 2 seats. But while the NPP gained 2 seats, the NDC won. So watch this. Now, the NPP lost the Bunkrugu seats, okay, and they also lost the Nalerugu Gambaga seats.
Here we go.
Yes, so the NPP initially had this and had this also.
Okay.
Now, and that was in addition to this. Okay, so they lost 2 of their seats but gained 3.
Okay.
So they lost Nalerugu Gambaga, lost Bunkrugu to the NDC. But what do? They take the NDC's Yagaba Kubor constituency, take the NDC's Yonyo constituency, and take the NDC's Chepone constituency. And the NDC loses 2, but can only get 1.
Yeah.
And so they have 2 at the end of it all. They only got Nalerugu Gambaga.
Very fascinating. And one of the things that shocked a lot of people.
So they actually lost 2 of those and gained 2.
And gained 2.
They lost their 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, they lost their 3 and gained 2 from
them. They were displaced from
all their seats.
But then they go into the MPP's places and took some in there. But Alima Mahama, local government minister, has fallen. Has fallen to Seydou Issoufou.
Yeah.
That, as our reporter just said, big shock in the area because of her formidability of her candidature in the area, but she's lost.
Yeah, she's lost. But Evans, you see, I remember, I think the first time Haji Alima Mahama contested was in 2000. Yes, 2000. She lost in 2000 and won in 2004. Lost, in 2008 comes back and wins it in 2016, and she's losing it again. Now, happenings in her constituents, and you remember the member of the NPP who was sacked, and he also lost his position as Deputy Director General of NADMO. Look, when someone assists you politically, the last thing you want to do for that person is to make him feel unwelcome.
Okay.
Because they are the people on the ground. Sometimes sometimes politicians would want to create the impression that they are the ones who win elections. No. You may have the personality, but people would campaign for you. So while you are out there and you think you are the reason why you're winning, there are people who are on the grounds campaigning for you. And so if those people feel unhappy and they decide to withdraw their support, some of your supporters are so powerful that they take thousands away. And that's why we've seen that in some instances, people go independent and they're able to cost their party. We've seen it in Fomena. We've seen it in other areas. It almost happened in Takwan Swahili, where the independent candidate pulled over 25,000 votes.
Nearly displacing
Mereku Duka.
Yeah.
So that's what has happened in Hajia's case.
So this is a powerful, but another story we need to tell when you are in this part of the country, in the Northeast, is Baomia's factor.
Exactly.
Right? So Baomia might have saved the president, but, well, in the eventual picture, Alima Mahama couldn't rub off the Baomia gold dust. However, if you go, I want to see what the presidential picture looks like, right? I want to flip this a bit and look at the presidential picture, whether it reflects the same. Same.
Yes.
Same.
Yes. Yeah.
The president wins in all the areas where the parliamentary candidates won.
Yeah.
So Baomia has given the president, some. And remember, this is an area that is traditionally NDC.
It was, but Evans, when we're looking at the numbers,
the analysis,
yes, analysis on. Election Eve.
Is it the area where stronghold into
swing?
Into swing.
So it was stronghold, and then in 2016, the NPP flips it.
Yeah.
And we said that
for the first time,
going into this election, the momentum was on the part of the NPP, and they've taken advantage of it.
Yeah.
And there you are.
When you're a political analyst, if you get your predictions right, it's so exciting. Every single prediction we said has panned out.
Exactly.
That we said, again, I haven't seen it before when we were analyzing this on Sunday evenings, election eve. I haven't seen it before where a place, a region that used to be a stronghold, powerful, and at the time in 1996 when we were starting the analysis from, the margins were huge. We're talking about 60% gap. Start from 60% and to win it in 2016, where the upward trajectory, the steepness of the climb became sharper in 2008 when Baomia stepped on the scene, to flip it from a pure, solid, ironclad stronghold to win it was miraculous. And then, we said we threw in the possibility of this momentum being broken in 2020 and said, well, listen, sometimes you can have the momentum and still fall off. But it's panned out.
And that was because
exactly what we predicted.
And that was because in 2006, a lot of things happened. They didn't happen well. They didn't turn out well for the NDC. And so you were expecting that, having lost grounds in 2016 and seeking to win the 2020 elections, the NDC would go back to its 2012 performance. But
it didn't happen.
But that didn't happen.
You kept saying, go back to 2012, go back to 2012. But Baomia is formidable.
Very formidable.
Won the region for the first time. You can't say him alone because there are many, many other factors. But we say he is the most obvious factor.
He is.
Right? He's not the only factor, but the most important, significant factor in this. And so for the second election year running, they have won it in this particular part of the country.
And one other thing they have done, let's go to the northern region.
Okay.
That would also show.
Yes, let's do the northern region.
That would also show the
Martina
factor.
Martina, who's standing by with us from the northern region. Here we go. So this is
the northern region.
Northern region. Okay, no, we can rather go to Natalia, who is in the
western region.
Western region right now. And so let me pull that up for you. So western region is here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to whether our prediction.
We've actually gone for
Western North. Whether our prediction came to pass, had borne some real positive fruits in the western region as well, because we had said that we're expecting that to be a swing.
A swing.
Okay. And so let's see.
There you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hello, Ina. I'm looking at a picture on my wall right now. On the ground, what does this picture say in terms of the actual numbers?
Well, Evans, the Western region have 17 constituencies. So for what we have right now from the pink sheet, we know that the NDC has 8 constituencies, whilst the NPP have 9 constituencies. We talk about Takoradi, the NPP's minister, member of parliament, and also the regional minister, Governor Chedako, won that seat. When you go to second, the Andrews Ejapa-Mercy had that seat against the NDC candidate. We go to Ms. Kado Keten, where earlier on 7 December, there were bone of contention between the supporters of Joe Gatti and then Dr. Grace Ayesu. And then when you go to Mpoho, Ahanta West, Shama, those seats were won by the NPP. But when you go to the 3 Amenfis, that is Amenfi East, West, and Central, the NDC took the seats. When you go to Prestia, Huni Valley, where the Minister for Tourism, Barbara Tinjesi, had that seat last year. This time around, she lost it to the NDC. When you go to Evaluatora, Ajomoro, Katrina Blema, Afeku, she lost that seat to the NDC. And then Jomoro, Paul Asian also lost that seat to Dorcas Afo-Tofe. And when you come to Wasa East, Wilson Atta, who has been contesting the NDC PC over there, lost again this time around. When you go to Elembele, Bonzoke lost to Emmanuel Amakofibua this time around too.
So in a story, it's a great one because it's showing on our screens there. Ina, tell me what are some of the biggest surprises in the Western region so far? I mean, having watched it.
Well, Evans, there seems to be no actual surprises. It would have been a big of surprise if what the supporters of Grace Ayesu were claiming on Monday night that they had won. I think earlier we did report on that case where there was chaos at Esikado, where they were claiming they had won the seat because Joe Gatti had taken that seat for 16 years. And so if indeed, he was overthrown by the NDC. It would have been one of the biggest surprise for the region. Notwithstanding, Evans, I must say that the NDC polling agents for Eskado Ketten refused to sign the pink sheet, but the EC went ahead to declare it. I understand very well that the same thing is happening at Wasa East, where the NPP polling agent has also refused to sign the pink sheet.
Okay.
And when you go to Takwa Nsuyayem, the margin between the NDC candidate and that of the NPP was not that huge. It was just a little, I think, under 100. And when you look at the independent candidates, Joyce Lenando, she did pull quite a lot of votes over there. That's a big deal. And then when you go to Prestia Huni Valley, for instance, from what I have heard, I think one of the issues that did not favor the MPP was the issue of Galamsey over there. And in Evaluatora, I think it's something they do every 4 years. They do change the member of parliament. So that is what is happening.
Very much. A great story. And the Takwa Nsuyayem one is a very interesting one, of course. When you say these are the numbers, NDC 8, MPP 9 seats in the Western region. Exactly, Evans. I'll do just some few analysis here because in 2016, the NDC had 4 seats in the now Western region. Elembele, Wasa East, Amenfi Central, and Amenfi West. The NPP won the remaining seats. And so if you are the NDC, this is a great performance for you. However, when the NDC held their press conference, they talked about winning 9 constituencies in the Western region. This is just to show you that the NDC did not win 9 constituencies in the Western region. They were expecting to win the Takwa Nsuyayem constituency, which we're told that George Mekudu actually won by 101 votes. Now, Joy Jocelyn Andopus, over 29,000. Well, why do you tell us? Let's see it. Let's see it, yeah. Let's go to let's see it. Takwa Nsuyayem. Takwa Nsuyayem. Yeah, there we go. There you go. There you go. There you go. That's it. That's it, right? Let's do the maths. You say he's won it. And he's won it by 101. Let's do that's it. That's it. Just do 9 forces. 101. And 1. Pepe. That's it. That's what he won it by. Yes, 100. So this is 946, 845. 101 votes. Goodness me.
That is the margin.
On a knife's edge.
Knife's edge.
So you see the point I was making about, let's give the NDC the benefit of the doubt. The other one we spotted they got wrong. Well, again, very close.
Yeah.
I think that was 400 votes.
400 votes.
Here too, they got it wrong. Again, knife edge. You have to wait sometime in marginal areas. I guess the lesson is, and we learned that lesson last night when we wanted to project, wait till you are at the end.
Exactly.
I mean, as close to the end. I mean, you can't get exactly to the end, close to the end. They went in too early. And that's why I got it wrong.
They did. But you know, sometimes it's the excitement. You know, because this is a seat that you normally, and look, when Kwame Jokoto contested, let's do 2016.
Okay.
About 20 something.
Same area, correct?
Same area. Yeah, 2016. About 24,000 difference in there. Okay, 18,000 difference. So watch it, 18,000 difference. So if you are the NDC and the margins are, you know, becoming narrow, I mean, you're closing the gap, you become excited and you think, no, I am going to win this. Because, you know, 101 is the kind of margin that you go into recollation and all of that when it becomes very, very difficult. And so sometimes, you know, the overexcitement, you throw it out there and say, oh, I've won. And then it turns out that you didn't win after all. But they've done well, but it's because of the independent candidate. Because the independent candidate, so let's check, the 2020 results, and let's look at the margins of the independent candidate. It will tell you, you know, why this is very, very...
Let me pull up candidates.
Yes, pull up candidates. There you have it. Let's see, do we have the independent candidate?
Indy.
29,000. Yes, that's the independent. I told you, 29,000 votes. That's the independent candidate. 29,000 votes. So that's the difference. And this lady was contesting George Mekuduka in the NPP's parliamentary primaries, and she was disqualified, paving way for George Mekuduka to contest as an independent candidate. And this is the result. That's
a powerful story there. Yeah. Powerful story. I can't wait to talk to Mekuduka. He must have been sweating.
I tell you.
He must have been sweating. As this unfolded. As you can see on your screens there, we're taking you now to the Electoral Commission. This, it appears to be getting even more chaotic. And the numbers are growing. We have tons and tons of military, well-armed military and police deployed in heavy numbers. Parker Wilson is our man at the scene. Parker, what I see on the screen is a pretty chaotic scene. What else are you seeing? How bad is it? Okay, Parker would join me shortly. As you can imagine, this is a pretty noisy area. The police and military have managed to form a barricade. For those of us who are listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, we have a host of military men fully armed behind the barricades and preventing of course, the crowd from charging onto the EC headquarters. Parker, if you can hear me, tell me what you see.
They say that they are here to demand the declaration of the 2020 presidential result because they believe, or they are elected. Now, so there's not the situation. The military, now you can see that there seems to be some confusion and some chaos there right now. The military and the police are using the barricade to ward the people off, to clear them from the road. But unfortunately, the NDC supporters are resisting. And so the police and the military are trying to use some minimal force to clear the people off the road. Now, because they have occupied the road, there's huge traffic coming from the ridge roundabout, and also vehicles are pointing towards the Alisa down. So this is the situation. A bit chaotic here. The NDC supporters do not want to leave the road. In fact, they are challenging the military and challenging the police. Just a while ago, the police called for reinforcement, and that was when we saw the presence of the military here adjacent the Electoral Commission head office. So their demands are that they want the EC to declare the 2020 presidential result. If they don't do that, they are not living here, and that is why they are challenging and resisting attempts by the Ghana Police Service and the military to clear them off the road.
And Parker, the picture obviously it's a pretty disturbing one with what we are beginning to see there in that part of the Electoral Commission. If you are joining us on Joy 99.7 FM, what we see on our screens, chaotic scenes, and Parker have been filling us in on that. Parker, tell me this. You've been in the Electoral Commission itself, right? The concern, as you've explained to us, the reason why they've massed up there is the demand for the Electoral Commission to declare the results. Is the EC any closer to doing this? They've said that we should expect the announcement sometime today. Any clarity on that yet?
Well, so Evans, just a while ago, just about 20 minutes ago, I was at the strong room before I got onto the road. The NDC representatives in the strong room there, that is Dr. Michael Potawai and Wojo Metununu, were challenging some results that are coming from the Ashanti region. Now, the claim was that the figures they have, that is the NDC, is in sharp contrast to that of what the AC is presenting to them. So they wanted the AC to reconcile those figures before they move on to the outstanding two regions that are coming, which is the Bono East region and the Northern region. In fact, they asked for a meeting with the chairperson of the commission because they wanted some answers, which they believe that it was the chairperson of the commission who can give them clarity on what is happening. So they resolved not to sign the Bono East and then the Northern region results that have come in. And so as we speak at the moment, the process has stalled. We do understand that the commission is still resolving the matters with the NDC supporters. And when they are done, that is when they will move to the conference center to declare the 2020 presidential result, whether it's for John Dramani Mahama or Nana Akufo-Addo, the president.
To see the crowd, they've grown in tremendous numbers there. And of course, I know there are loads of you who are listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, and what we see on our screens is just pretty chaotic. I see hundreds and hundreds of people in an exchange, a heated exchange currently with a military officer who is trying to calm tensions. And I must say, Winston, that the military is doing a good job in terms of just the ability to have a conversation. Yeah. I'm just seeing a military officer having a conversation with these angry, supporters, obviously, of the National Democratic Congress. And these are well-armed military officers in full regalia at the EC headquarters.
Exactly. I'm happy that the military is just trying to be calm and explain things to them. And one of the things I'd say, Evans, is that, look, elections, yes, I do know that when you go into an election, you expect victory. Not everybody who contests in an election will win. And so let's just be patient and allow the Electoral Commission to declare the results. The last time we checked from the Electoral Commission strong room, we're told that the NDC's agents were engaging the Electoral Commission because there are some issues they were raising with the Electoral Commission. If you're raising issues with the Electoral Commission cannot, say, I'm not listening to you and go ahead and declare the results. I think that at this point in time, let us be patient. The Electoral Commission will declare the results no matter what the time is. The results would be declared. And so, let's be patient.
live at the Electoral Commission headquarters here in Accra, where you see people chanting, singing the national anthem. And for me, singing the national anthem is a good thing. I mean, the only good thing about what we're seeing is that nobody's fighting, nobody's throwing blows. It's people that's excited, but they've masked up at the place.
And this is where we'll plea to our security agencies, because there are some persons who may, get out of the calmness of the situation and may want to do certain things that they do not like. Please, because of the moments we're in now, just remain calm and ensure that this doesn't degenerate into anything. I'm happy so far they're singing the national anthem. You can see the military giving a bit of there's a space between them. They're not touching them, and that is good. We just expect that yes, you can go ahead, protest, want the results to be declared, but please let us not start throwing stones or engage in any violence.
Yeah, I mean, this is your constitutional right.
Yeah.
I mean, to the right to protest, but we have to do it lawfully.
Exactly.
Okay, and that is what we're saying. If you're listening to us right now, wherever you are, and you plan on joining that, the first advice is that don't stay at home. Watch us on television, because there's nothing that your presence there will do to the process that the Electoral Commission has said will come to a close with a declaration. We've seen this before, right? And so sometimes you have to learn from history. In 2008, when we went to the third round, it was on a knife edge. Sure. And what happened was that, again, the NDC asked their members to mass up at the EC headquarters. Then, of course, Afarajan was there. Now, the fear of the NDC back then was that something was happening to massage the figures that would have turned their eventual win into a defeat. Now, what did we see happen? The massing up there changed absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
In eventual analysis, they won the elections. I mean, you cannot say that the fact that they massed up there was the reason why they won the elections. The numbers were already heading in that direction, except that because there was a second round, the first round had created a challenge of wondering who exactly was winning. And so there was a bit of anxiety. Okay, and that led them to say, mass up there, put pressure on the system so that the system does not massage the figures. But that really didn't change anything, and they won the elections. My point is, going there right now will not same effect, will have absolutely nothing to do with the actual numbers. If the numbers say Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has won as we projected, that is what it is, right? So you simply have to bear in mind that although you have a right to assemble, to protest, you have to do it peacefully within the law. And we must applaud the security agencies for doing a good job. As we see it unfold, they are ready for anything, but they are handling this very calmly.
Exactly. And I mean, while we applaud the security agencies, it's also important we applaud the supporters of the NDC, because so far they've comported themselves, and we urge them to continuously comport themselves. You've talked about margins and results. One thing we should know is that, look, elections are declared, results are declared at the polling stations, where if you have a challenge, you call for a recount, and then they're taken to the collation center, and as I suggest, where the collation of the result is done. Once you have your pink sheets, and once you have your results that you know that they are right, and you get to the collation center.
Education here for those who don't know, and I want to emphasize something John Mahama himself said at the tail end of his press conference last night. He said, I'm calling for calm.
Yeah.
I mean, he said a lot of things, but he also said, calm, let's wait for this to pan out eventually. Now, listen, the process that the Electoral Commission is currently undertaking at the EC headquarters, there's no way Jean Mensah can announce anything when the party's reps have not endorsed. Last time when he addressed the press conference, it was clear that they have 14 regions that had come in because of the new structure they had this year. But they've managed to certify only 7. That means those 7, the parties have all checked and endorsed. What it means is that nothing is going to be declared unless the parties have looked at it and has passed. Now, the thing about this is, we saw 2012, right, where there was a dispute. The dispute was resolved not on the streets, but in the court of competent jurisdiction. And so, even if you believe, after Jean Mensah has announced the results, that your party, your candidate has been cheated out of it, you have a path to sue and get that redress at the Supreme Court. But we shouldn't even get to that. You need to appreciate the process that will eventually lead the Electoral Commission to make a declaration. The reason why there appears to have been a delay, okay, and the EC chairperson explained this, is the process, the checking, the double checking, the verifications that not only the EC must do, but the parties themselves must do. And so the NDC's agents possibly are the reason, are making sure this is done, and maybe a reason why you will not hear the declaration. So for the hundreds and possibly thousands of NDC supporters who are massed up at the place, listen, your agents who are representing your interests in the room are doing the job.
Exactly. And see, and that's the beauty of a democracy. You have agents in the constituency, I mean, in the coalition center. So you're good to go.
They are representing you.
They are. So
they are representing you.
Agents would ensure that your interest is served. There is no way your agents would not protect your interest. Then you do not trust your agents. And these agents, as you have seen them, have requested a meeting with the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Their concerns, they are making their concerns known to the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission is dealing with them. This is the moment to remain calm and trust your agents to deliver.
We're going to keep an eye on this unfolding incident at the EC headquarters shortly, but I want to take you to Manuel Kranting, who is be joining us shortly with the chairman, the Greater Accra chairman of the NDC, Mr. Adekoka, in his office. Manuel, what has Mr. Adekoka been telling you about their own understanding of the processes and currently happening behind closed doors at the EC as it begins to verify and certify some of these results from the regions?
Great. So, Evans, I'm here at the Greater Accra Regional Office of the NDC. And they've been making a point, stamping their grounds and maintaining that they have won the election. They make a point that they've won 20 seats out of the 34 seats in the Greater Accra region, and have been arguing there's been some, misnomers within the numbers that have been put out by a lot of the media outlets and also the other coalitions that we've seen. But let me not take the wind out of his sail. The Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC, Chairman Adekoka, is here. Chairman, grateful that you could speak to us on your election headquarters. Take us through, the data that you have and the case that you're making.
Yeah, let's come to the Greater Accra region. Greater Accra region, we have won 26, and there's no ambiguity about that. And I've got here the seats that we won in Greater Accra, which is made up of Krowo, Adan, Sege, Ningo Pampram, Ponkata Mansu, Shao Sudoku, Tema East, Ashiaman, Krowo, Lejokuku, Ododo Dio, Kole Klote, Ladariko Topo, Ayawaso East, Ayawaso North, Okakwe North, Madina, Adenta, Ablekuma Central, and Ablekuma South. So, So in Greater Accra, we emphatically won 26 out of the 34. And in the presidential election, per our records, we had 52.4%, and the MPP had 47.6%. That's the records that we've got. So as far as the Greater Accra is concerned, we have won the election, we've won Greater Accra, and we've won it. Now, in the country as a whole, there's evidence that we've garnered 141 seats, plus or minus some 1 or 2 years. But we've won 141 seats. So the NDC is in majority in Parliament. We are going to appoint the next Speaker of Parliament, the Deputy, or the Chairman of the various committees of Parliament.
It's interesting that you've begun calling the election for yourself, particularly on the parliamentary, and we'll go into that bit of the argument a short while from now. But we've not heard you talk particularly about the presidential election? And is that, it's to some extent a concession of defeat in the presidential election?
No, it's contemporaneous. You see, once you are winning the parliamentary seat, it's obvious. So if nothing untoward has happened, if these elections had gone on, the collation, that is what the problem is. We feel that, look, there were a lot of stop ballot boxes going around in Ashanti region. The stamp of the Electoral Commission, which is supposed to be a sacred stamp, was in the hands of certain people, and we saw ballot papers which had been stamped and had been stuffed, right? And you can see efforts being made with ballot boxes, people going around with the military. The military are supposed to defend our borders. I'm seeing on your television, military men deployed in the election matters. You are bringing Somalia, you are bringing Mali into this country.
But again, and just like you're mentioning military, we can see, and these are live shots from the Electoral Commission's office. The NDC has masked up there. Should they be massing up?
The police are supposed to handle the situation, not military men. You understand?
Should your supporters be massing up at the EC's office?
Well, when you are being cheated, when somebody is putting his hands in your eyes, you don't close your eyes. You open your eyes and fight back.
And I'll give you an example. A strict example is Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. I've spoken to your chairman in that constituency, who disputes the numbers that the EC declared there in favor of the NPP. He said they were not going to sign, but on that pink sheet, the NDC had signed, given an indication of endorsement.
The gentleman who signed was instructed not to sign. And he wanted to sign at the blind side of the executives. That is why they are here today. This morning, the EC called him to come back to sign a new pink sheet. And it was brought to our attention. And we called, what is he doing? We feel that something untoward had gone. I've asked him to come here for the past 3-4 hours. He hadn't stepped in the office. You see, we know what is happening. There's not everything that you can come on television and say. But in this mind game and in this politics of Africa, especially parts of Africa, Donald Trump is complaining that his people have also been, there's something untoward. You see, that's the result of when we don't do things correctly. That is where we find ourselves, and you ask me, why have people, you can hear the shout outside. People feel that they have voted for John Dramani. People feel, you see, when the people of this country have voted, you feel it. And when there's machination going on, you feel it. Right?
And that is why you have polling agents, you have reps everywhere in the country.
Listen, I just told you, this is Africa. This is Africa.
What does this is Africa mean? Does it mean that you don't have agents?
People invest in rigging, and we feel that has gone on.
Who has invested in rigging?
The government has invested in rigging, and that has gone on. There's rigging all over the place, and don't be blind to it. There's rigging all over the place. There's evidence. Look,
can you point to some?
Look, Eastern region, right? Eastern region. At 6:45 p.m. This is what our agents are telling us. Listen, a lot of people have called about the Eastern region. Okay, this is what happened. All collation was completed, and agents, including NDC agents, signed at 6:45 p.m. Copies were given the parties. Our copy display. This is our copy. Same was announced in the video display. They've got a video. This result gave MPP 58%, NDC 37%, and others 5%. After everybody was gone, the EC faxed a new declaration sheet signed by only MPP, GUM, and PPP to Accra, also displayed here. This is 2. Yeah, that sought to increase each party's vote, but with greater increase for the MPP. You see the mess the EC is plunging all of us into. And this is the evidence. This is the evidence. Here.
This is from your agent from the Eastern region.
Yeah, they've got 2C127 from the same Eastern region. Where this has been signed, our agent has got his copy. He went home, and then when the EC, you could see that there are new signatures on the document. You understand? So this is exactly what we are saying.
And we could just, zoom in for you to see the figures that he's presenting. But that is why there is at least a constitutionally, mandated process for you to challenge elections. There's been an election dispute manual that's been launched, and so on.
My brother, first our feet our feet and our hands and our bodies, and we'll speak first. After we've done that, then we go and talk.
Your presidential candidate signed onto a peace pact, which essentially meant that all of you are going to submit yourself to the constitutional process. Well, this is what you're saying. That doesn't seem like something.
Justice first. If you want peace, you must have justice.
Well, the courts don't produce justice.
I said, if you want peace, you must have justice. The right thing must be. We said from day one that a rigging system had been put in place, and it is manifesting itself. It is manifesting itself. And that is, look, we lost 2016. We handed over peacefully because we felt that was okay. This time round, we realized and felt, and I've given you a typical, and it has happened so many places.
That's what the EC at the National Coalition Center gives you a rep. You have a rep at the National Coalition Center.
Refusing at the conference to sign the document that they, because most of them have been falsified. A typical example, the Eastern region. So that was why Rojo this morning was asked to leave because he's refusing to sign falsified documents. Look, the press should rather start investigating. Don't be advocacy for wrongdoing. The press, that's what people are shouting. Our press. I've been watching Joy, and you keep.
Well, these are the data. I mean, this is the data that we have from our reporters across the country, and these are certified results. These are certified results.
The EC itself says it has only certified 7 as of last night. The EC itself, 7 regions. And how can you people satisfy?
We are well over 12 hours into a new day, and it's progress. Your rep at the EC has left and is not agreeing to submit himself to the process. That is holding the process at ransom, no?
Because we feel we need an audit. We have to go back to and do audit. Not a mere signature. A signature does not mean anything. We want to audit the documents. We want to audit it. We want to audit. That's what we are asking. So before you accept the document, we must audit. We want to do audit. They should bring the ballot. We'll audit.
Talk to me about your supporters who are flying across the country. In fact, even outside this office where we are having this interview, there's a mammoth crowd that is building up outside there. What are you going to tell them? What are you telling them?
You see, any government must rule with the consent of the people. Not a consent of the half of the people, then the government is in trouble. The government must, so we must get an election which will give us credible result so that everybody will not be on the street demanding that something untoward that happened. When you do that, you cannot govern. You cannot govern. Governance is for the people and by the people.
But CI that governs this election, for instance, gives a way to
look. Listen, there's nothing called regional declaration of presidential report. Nothing like that. You police station. That is where you declare the president. You make sure that the pink sheets are collated, and then evidence is given. Every polling station, this is what they got. You don't have an omnibus figure and say that is what. So when you go and you start auditing the document, you realize a lot of transpositions, a lot of mistakes, a lot of thievery. And that is what we are calling for.
There are 2 options now. And that is to submit yourself to the process and challenge it legally and constitutionally. Or what we're seeing across the country now, with your supporters hitting the streets in protest and demanding a declaration willy-nilly in your favor. What are you going to advise them to do?
We have won the parliamentary since we are in majority in parliament, and we have won the presidential. That is what NDC, that is what we believe in, and that is what we think is the right thing to do. And we feel that for peace and harmony to come to this country, the military should go to the barracks. They defend our borders. It is an eyesore for a country like Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, to be seen military men deployed in vehicles, chasing people at coalition centers, whipping up. Look, I've got a bullet shell in my hand. Where Ododo Dio, look at what happened on the night of the election, where people were brutalized and people were killed. For what?
The candidate was arrested in that area for his alleged involvement. Your candidate.
His hotel. He was in a hotel and he masterminded. He was shooting around. Is he a crazy animal?
So now you're not going to get your people to move off the streets. Is that what I'm getting from?
Nobody is going to move off the streets. Nobody is going to move off the street. We are going to fight for our rights. We are going to fight for our motherland.
Is that not plunging the country into chaos? For instance, if the NPP replicates the same thing.
You have Somalia, you have Mali, you have other countries because of the dispute of elections. It's a recipe for disaster. That is why we should do things that there's no.
That is Adekuka there, of course, speaking to us on this. I want to take you back to the Electoral Commission headquarters, where Parker is standing by with the very latest of this unfolding development playing out at the Electoral Commission. But you can see on our screens there that the soldiers and the police are still dealing with this very calmly. They're not using force. They are having a dialogue.
Exactly.
Mainly, we can see a military officer and a police officer attempting to calm down some of these supporters. This is a well-built gentleman standing behind the barricade, and I see the police officer calmly telling him to move a bit away. It appears to have worked because he's calmed down a bit now. This is exactly what we want our security forces to be doing because it's pretty tense.
And it looks like our security forces understand, the times we're in, and so they're engaging with them. They're telling them, relax, and that's what I see, relax. You can, stay here, but just, relax and listen to the things that we tell you. So far, it looks like it's going well and should end peacefully.
It should. You see a police officer there tapping the gentleman on his shoulder, asking him to calm down. And then there's a lot of dialogue happening. It's good to watch as these conversations unfold on our screens. If you listen to us on Joy 99.7 FM, we are live from the Electoral Commission headquarters. Obviously, this is on a knife's edge right now, and this is clearly one of the things that almost happens every election year before the Electoral Commission declares the results. If you recall, in 2016, it was the same. Charlotte Osai's administration at the EC, there was a slight delay, and it was very, very tense. There was a lot of calls for the EC to declare almost the same, right? It happens every election year until it's the EC's declaration that sort of then, gets people to be in the settle. Apart from, of course, the projection that we always do here on your election headquarters.
But you see, during Charlotte Osai's, tenure, one of the things she said was drawing attention to the fact that, yes, the EC had declared the results 48 hours after closure of polls, but that was not any constitutionally written document that said, you are mandated to do so. It is the EC that conventionally said they were going to be declaring results after 48 hours. One of the challenges this EC brought onto itself was a suggestion that it was going to be declaring the results in 24 hours. Yes, it has come out to say, due to one of two issues, we cannot bring you the results. But when there's tensions, many of these things are not listened to, particularly when politicians urge their supporters to go out there. And so the EC should be learning from this as well. Look, you have a mandate. Your mandate is to declare results when the results are ready. Make sure they are ready and you declare them. Because for all of us, we were waiting for 5 p.m. so the Electoral Commission would declare the results. When it happens like that, and I asked this question when I had Emmanuel Bombandi and Professor Ahafo, why politicians sometimes, the mistrust they have for the Electoral Commission, particularly when they're in opposition. And so the moment you delay, the fear is that something is happening, even though nothing happens.
Yeah, of course, that is one of those key things to watch today. We're staying with you all the way and see how this pans out until the Electoral Commission makes the official declaration. We will be joined by Joseph Gakpo, who has been doing some analysis for us in terms of, he's our parliamentary correspondent, who is likely the new faces expected. He's been telling me that he's expected the attrition rate this year in Parliament to be very, very high. A lot of new faces are going to come into Parliament, which again makes it exciting because it becomes very unpredictable. But also, as we expect, the gap between the NDC, the minority and the majority in Parliament is going to be very slim. Question is, as we wait for this to be resolved, is who has a majority, who has a minority in Parliament. And in some cases, you need 2/3 of the House to pass some particular legislation.
That's one thing that hasn't happened in Ghana before.
Yes.
No parties had 2/3, and so we've been good to go, because since no party has 2/3, they can't do major changes without consensus building, and that's what is going to happen If the NDC wins the majority in Parliament, what that would mean is that we probably may be seeing a situation where the winner takes it all would come to an end, because then you have to engage your opponents in Parliament. They would have to approve your budget. If they do not approve your budget, you cannot spend, and you'd have to engage them and engage them. But if the NPP wins the majority, it goes back to factory settings as well.
Winston, will stay with me. I want to take you to Ahafo and then the Bono regions again. We had done projections, right? And we said that Bono will be MPP.
So will be Ahafo. And
Ahafo as well. Okay, so let's see whether we got it right in the projection. Well, we have it here. So we did this. I want to go to my colleague. This is the picture from Bono. Precious Semebo is joining me. Hello, Precious. Nice to see you. Let's start from Bono. What is the parliamentary picture looking like from Bono?
Well, so Evans, the 2020 parliamentary result, as we have it now, everything, all constituencies confirmed, is 6-6. Now, going into the election, we had 12 constituencies. And in 2016, NPP had 11, as against 1 for the NDC. And that was the Banda constituency, the much talked about Banda constituency. But after the 2020 elections, the parties had to split the 12. So it's now NPP 6, NDC 6. Now, the interesting thing is that some seats were lost, and these are big people within the NPP who had to surrender those seats. Now, let's start from German South, where the Deputy Minister for Aviation, Ahafo, he is the incumbent MP. He lost his seat to a new, person, Williams Akufo-Addo in German South. And then if you move on to German North, where the Deputy Bono Regional Minister, Shaka Stevens, is the incumbent, he also lost his seat to Yawamankwa Frederick. Now, if you move from there to the Tyne District, Gabriel Osel is the incumbent, and he also lost his seat to Suleimana Adama of the NDC. Now, you continue from there to Wenchi. Professor George Janbafo, the senior minister, member of the economic team of the NPP, also lost his seat to Alhaji Seidu Haruna of the NDC. Now you move from there to Banda, where going into this election, the only seat for the NDC, they maintained that seat. Ahmed Ibrahim of the NDC defeated Joe Dankwa, who represented the NPP in that election. For the last seat is Doma West. Doma West. It used to be an NDC seat, Vincent Opon Samoa, but going into the 2016 election, he lost that seat to NPP's Ali Maiga. But he came back in 2020 and he has regained that seat for the NDC. So for the NDC, you have Doma West, German South, German North, Tyne District, Banda District constituency, and then Wenchi constituency. So these are the constituencies that are going into the next parliament will come from the NPP. So what is left for the NDC? What is left for the NPP now is the Brekum West. They had a new candidate, Brekum West, an old candidate, Kokwe Jenim Boateng, he maintained his seat. Brekum East, a new candidate in Nelson Treme. He also won the seat for the NPP. And then Doma East, another new candidate for the NPP, Ochum Berima, also won it for the NPP. And then Doma Central, the health minister, Kukwajima Menu, also maintained his seat for the NPP. And then Sunyani West, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Ignatius Bafo, also maintained his seat. And then Sunyani East, the Majority Chief Whip and MP for Sunyani East, Kwesi Ame Atreme, also maintained his seat. So 2020, it is 6-6 for NPP and then NDC.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is, stay with me, because this is just Ahafo.
Sure. Yes.
Stay with me, this is just Ahafo.
No, this is the Bono region.
Sorry, this is the Bono region. And it's interesting. The NDC is doing far better this year than they did previously. In fact, they split it down the middle, 6-6. Good for them. I mean, you see the point about it, explaining the point why they are very categorical about their improvement in Parliament. One thing is definite, that the NDC this year in Parliament would have done great improvement in terms of their numbers, right?
Yeah.
From 106 is this?
Yeah, 106.
I mean, and from all you were seeing, they are climbing quite significantly there. What's your take on the Bono situation?
Well, you know, if you look at it, and for me, the surprising bit in this area is Wenchi. I say surprising, not because I was expecting Professor Jan Bafo to win, but it's surprising because this is the home of the Buzia, I mean, one of the founders of the NP. Now, they say that is the Buzia Dombo Dankwa tradition. And so this is Buzia's hometown. And so for the NPP to have lost the seat, particularly Professor Jan Bafo, but I said it the last time, and I told you that when you stay in Parliament for a very long time, it gets to a point, and when people begin to challenge you in primaries, and it becomes obvious that you're losing popularity. And if you look at Professor Jan Bafo's margins, he had 170, another person had 148. You know, so it was so close that if all those persons had just, supported one candidate, Jan Bafo would have lost the primaries in Wenchi. And so he's been there since 2004 up till now. It tells you that the people had become fed up with him.
Let's illustrate that a bit more factually. Let's see what has been happening to him over the years.
Yeah.
Has he been losing votes or has he been gaining? That will tell us a better story, I guess, to back your point there. Let's pull up the trend. So this is him. This is his performance this is 2016, right? Let's pull up the trend. Let's see what the story. Let me take this away. Let's put up the trend. Let's see what the story is in this particular area. Here we go. So this is the story there. Do you see your story emerging in terms of?
Well, so in 2004, he gets 53, goes to 56, then reduces to 50, and then improves to 52.7%, as we can see here. But
he's been fluctuating.
He's been fluctuating, and that tells you something. So you see, once you're fluctuating, then what it tells you is that if you have a strong candidate, you could lose.
Yeah.
And so once you're fluctuating, and once you're fluctuating, the one thing you should do, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully, one of the things you should do is to sit back, do a bit of stock taking, and ask yourself, why this performance?
Yeah.
If it becomes obvious that you're losing popularity, or people think it is time for change, then you let it go. The moment you have 5 young men contesting you, and I'll use the example of Inusa Fuseni. He said in the 2016 coalition, Dr. Anyas and the other guys who were contesting him, none of them was part of his generation. And that was when he realized that his time was up. Because he realized Tamale Central was beginning to have a youthful population and a new generation that wanted to lead. He did not want to stand in their way. Professor Jan Bafo is 70 years. When it gets to that point, he had Kojo Frimpong challenging him with other young people. And they had lots of support. Kojo Frimpong was one who had spent his whole life outside Wenchi. But he goes to Wenchi and gathers this massive support. It tells you one thing. It tells you, my time is near.
So the writings were on the wall for him. He failed to heed that writing, and we see him there losing this year in that particular part of the Bono region. So that's a story of the Bono region here. Forgive me. This is not how the Bono map looks like. I've just flipped it. So it occupies a space for you, but this is how Bono actually stands. If in the Ghana map. But your favorite story, Banda, Time.
Well, Banda and China, I mean, I told you. I mean, this constituency, and I like talking about it. In fact, you come here. When you come here, you see these 2 men. And then you go to...
They used to fight, and again, they've done it again in terms of the margin.
Yes, and you go to 2004. Time constituency. Just do that for me. 2004.
2004.
Time constituency.
Let me be here because then I can flip this.
Yes, I want to just, start and end the story there. 2004.
This is time. So
what do you see?
I see very interesting.
I put my arms.
I see two people.
Okay.
Who seem very familiar in 2020.
What's the margin?
And the margin is less than 1,000.
Okay.
Significantly less than 1,000.
Go to 2008.
2008. Same two gentlemen.
What do you?
Ahmed Ibrahim Dankwa.
He flips.
Again, the flips it, increases the margin slightly, almost to 2,000 there.
2,000 thereabouts.
And then the story proceeds to
2012.
2012. I come 2012.
But then when it comes to 2012, don't look at Tyne, look at Banda.
Because that's when it was split.
It was split. And
then
they went to Banda.
But here's the thing, they didn't stay in Banda, they ran away to the north and go to Banda.
Yeah, they didn't stay in Tyne, they went to Banda.
They took their love affair to Banda.
And they've been on it.
And they've been on that love affair. The love affair today has ended with this picture.
Exactly.
Again. This is Banda.
Yeah.
Now, this love affair continues. This intimate love affair has been very good. Serve them well in terms of the numbers. They're very close to each other.
Very close.
All the time.
This is less than 100. This is 70 what? 76 or so, 81 votes.
Yeah.
Let's
get it right. I know your math is good.
Yes. So let's do this with 276 and 195. So 1, and this is put this one here. So 81.
Okay. Here we are.
81.
This love affair is very close. They're very intimate. They don't go far away from each other. They've done a split before. They've done they flipped before.
Yeah.
And then they come back.
But you see, this is where if you're not careful, you could project that you're winning
and lose.
And then you lose.
And then lose. Okay. These two gentlemen must know each other very well. They must be.
Oh no, they do. They do. I mean, they know themselves very well. And if you speak to Ibrahim Ahmed, he'll tell you that. One of the things he did in order to win the seat was just to deal with Joe Dankwa as a person and not the NPP as a political party.
Precious is still with me, so I want to quickly wrap up with Bono Ahafo now. I want to wrap up with the Ahafo picture. Again, we filled it all for 2020. Precious, if you're there, the picture tells us a story, but give me the actual numbers globally, and let's wrap up with the regions that have these new regions.
Yeah, so Evans, Ahafo region, we have 6 constituencies in the Ahafo region, 6 constituencies. And going into the 2020 election, that is 2016, the MPP had 4 of the 6, with NDC having 2, that is Esunafo South and then Esutifi South. Collins Dauda and then Eric. These were the 2 key men. Now,
hello, Precious. It appears to have lost Precious there. His feed has become static, but don't worry. Our map can tell you the story, by the way. He was telling the story about Collins Dauda, right? Right, let's do that. Let's go into Collins Dauda's place.
That should be Esutifi South. Yeah, that's it.
He maintains it.
Yeah, he maintains it.
There are many people who are afraid for him this year that something tragic might happen, but he shows his mettle and still holds on to Esutifi South. Again, and this is largely an MPP place. I mean, as we had said, you said it, and then we put it out. Esunafo North, Esutifi North, Tunnel South, won by Esunafo South. You put that. Why did you put it up?
Well, because that's Eric Opoku's area.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had it in 2016. Eric Opoku, he's always had it, and so I mean, just to confirm what Precious said, they had 2 seats and they've maintained it.
Okay. So out of the 6, the NDC takes 2.
Yeah.
MPP takes 3. As a picture.
Takes 4.
Takes 4. Sorry. MPP takes 4. NDC takes 2. As a picture illustrates here on a map. So that is a story for Ahafo there, and this is one of those areas that I look at it. I mean, and going into this year's elections, I was looking at what factors might play in whose advantage. This general Bono Ahafo region, the cashew conversation was very key because and the cashew, but also the DKM matters that a lot of people were affected. And I know in the 2016 elections, the MPP had promised this cashew board. But when they came into power, they didn't do exactly what they promised. They did something else. They formed an omnibus sort of a vehicle that looks at all these other cash crops other than cocoa and put it under it. The NDC did a flip then. They went back and said, we will do the board, you know. For the people that it's important to them because more than $300 million worth of cashew was exported out of Ghana in 2018. And a lot of it comes from these previous Bono regions, Ahafo, Bono East and Bono. And whoever dealt with this better, I guess, could win. I guess this is a story that I'm beginning to see play out in this part of the country. Another thing I want to do, I'm curious about the central region because it's all filled, because again, it's a swing. We saw the Greater Accra picture that although Greater Accra had voted massively parliamentary for the NDC, still, in terms of the national presidential picture, it's not tallying with what we know Greater Accra to be. Central region, another one purist situation with the Greater Accra has this picture here. We would break that down for you shortly and see what the story is in terms of their ability to predict again this year. But I want to take a break. When we return, more of these analysis as we begin to deal with this parliamentary picture. After the presidential, we projected, if you're just joining us, we have projected that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2020 presidential race. It's the parliamentary that remains to be settled. As we wait for the EC to officially declare, we will obviously stay with you as we unpack the parliamentary story. Joseph Gakwa, parliamentary correspondent, has been working the numbers, looking at the permutations as the next parliament may hold. He will join me next as we help you appreciate the bigger picture. Stay with us.